Chapter 805. Contestants. Chu Feiyang was slightly taken aback, but he immediately said, "That's right. When choosing opponents, we naturally have to see the contestants from the major galaxies to compare. Winged Clan, Goblin Clan, Heavenly Fiend Clan, Phantom Clan, Dark Demon Clan, please come to the stage. All of you, hide your aura. Other than Hu Mainyang, the rest of the humans are nothing to be afraid of. If we are chosen by her, we will have a chance to advance. If we face the tyrants, Zergs, and Protoss, we are dead meat. When Hu Mainyang is done choosing, if she doesn't choose us, raise your aura to the peak. This way, we will have a chance to fight the elves at the end. Do you understand?" Almost at the same time, the leaders of the last 5 galaxies, including the brainless leader of the Dark Demon Clan, realized what was going on. They all sent voice transmissions to the other 9 top experts representing their respective galaxies. Everyone knew that Hu Mainyang, who won the right to be the first to choose her opponent, would definitely choose the one she felt was the weakest. Otherwise, the humans would have a slim chance of advancing. Similarly, among the top 5, the tyrants, Zergs, and Protoss were basically guaranteed to be in the top 5. No one in the bottom 5 could eliminate them. It didn't matter if they chose anyone. As for the elves, who were ranked 5th, although they said they had the right to choose, they could only choose the remaining contestants from the 4 galaxies. Therefore, being the first to be chosen and the last to be left was the best situation. Whoosh 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 whoosh. The remaining 45 experts from the 5 races flew over from different directions in an instant. However, everyone suppressed some of their aura and didn't appear too fake. They gave people the feeling that they could determine the depth of their aura as long as they sensed it carefully. Although everyone knew that it was impossible for Hu Mainyang to not think of it, they could only do so to have a chance of being chosen. "Miss Hu, everyone is here. Please." Chu Feiyang of the Tyrants said directly to Hu Mainyang without even looking at the 45 people who came. Similarly, Morichis of the Zergs and Nia Fan of the Protoss only stared at Hu Mainyang. They didn't seem to care about the strength of the 45 people. This was built on the basis of absolute confidence. In fact, in their minds, only the 3 major races had the strength to contend against the celestial race. There was no difference between the other races. Hu Mainyang nodded gently. Her eyes instantly became incomparably resplendent as she swept her gaze across the cultivators of the 5 clans. At this moment, anyone who was caught in Hu Mainyang's gaze was shaken. Even the Succubus clan, who were gifted with the ability to create all kinds of illusions, were no exception at this moment. Their auras were instantly dazzled. This scene caused Chu Feiyang and the other 9 great commanders to frown slightly. Their gazes towards Hu Mainyang also became serious. The pinnacle of the 9th layer of the Red Dust Heart Sutra had easily dispelled everyone's disguise. Powerful. Even Chen Hao had to admit that Hu Mainyang had done a better job than he had expected. She was meticulous and her acting skills were superb. One must know that Chen Hao had directly asked Hu Mainyang to be the first to choose the Dark Demon race at the beginning. However, Hu Mainyang didn't do so. News was news. Only by seeing the participants for themselves could one know who was strong and who was weak. This was undoubtedly much safer. At the same time, it also let all the galaxies understand that Hu Mainyang was serious because the human race was too weak. While the other party hid their auras, Hu Mainyang used her extraordinary, domineering, and absolute strength to directly dazzle the other party's auras and make them unable to hide. The people who come out won't be replaced in the elimination round, right? Hu Mainyang asked Chu Feiyang again after checking everyone. Of course not. If someone is replaced, they will be eliminated directly. Miss Hu, feel free to choose. Chu Feiyang stared at Hu Mainyang with bright eyes. The more he looked at her, the more tempted he was. Although he was the #1 expert of the Tyrants was only a nominal name. They were a mixed race, but their bloodline was the pure-blooded human race. One could imagine how great the temptation Hu Mainyang had for him was. Then how will the order of appearance be determined in the duel? Hu Meinyang asked. This is very simple. The galaxies in the last 5 groups will have one person stand out first, and we will casually arrange for our contestants to appear on stage. For the second round, we will have one person stand out first, and the remaining 5 groups will casually arrange for their remaining contestants to appear on stage. We can take turns. Chu Feiyang said directly after thinking for a while. Even asking for opinions was not necessary. That's good. Meinyang chooses. Hu Meinyang's red lips parted slightly. Her eyes swept across the leaders of the last 5 major galaxies. Back and forth, it seemed to be quite difficult for her to choose. The people of the 5 major galaxies all looked nervous. They were eager to be chosen by Hu Meinyang. At this moment, there was complete silence within a radius of tens of thousands of miles. Those who were close by could see, those who were far away could not see, and those who could not even sense, but they could all hear Hu Meinyang's voice. Therefore, they were all waiting nervously for the result. Heavenly Fiend Clan. What? Ah. Ha ha ha. Miss Hu, thank you so much. I didn't expect you to choose us, the Heavenly Fiend Clan. Ha ha ha. Don't worry, the Heavenly Fiend Clan will be merciful. We will try our best to give your people a quick death as a token of our gratitude for giving us a chance to enter the top 5 or even the top 4. Ha ha ha. The leader of the Heavenly Fiend Clan said with a wild laugh. He really did not expect Hu Meinyang to choose them. Because he had looked carefully just now. The weakest was undoubtedly the Dark Fiend Clan. Even their leader was an idiot. How good could the remaining 9 be? And yet, Hu Meinyang had chosen them. This was undoubtedly a meat pie that fell from the sky. Naturally, it made him excited. However, the message revealed by this meat pie also undoubtedly contained Hu Meinyang's contempt for the Heavenly Fiend Clan. It clearly told everyone that Hu Meinyang thought that the Heavenly Fiend Clan was the weakest. Therefore, this guy was both excited and angry. The words he said were naturally arrogant and despotic. At this time, the cultivators of the Heavenly Fiend Clan were clamoring with their leader. In addition to their excitement, they also clamored for the human race to understand the strength of the Heavenly Fiend Clan. And in the human race, other than Chen Hao and the members of Proud Heaven, including the 9 confirmed cultivators of the human race, all showed a surprised expression. They did not understand why Hu Meinyang would choose the relatively stronger Heavenly Fiend Clan. But at this time, no one doubted Hu Meinyang. The prestige she had established in the human race made most people believe that Hu Meinyang must have her reasons for making such a choice. That's right. If it were me, I would also choose the Heavenly Fiend Clan and not the Dark Fiend Clan. Chen Hao thought in his heart. The Heavenly Fiend Clan has 4 weaker ones and 6 stronger ones. Hu Meinyang's choice, if her battle strategy and luck are good, she indeed has a better chance of advancing than the Dark Fiend Clan, whose strength is average. Chu Feiyang and the other experts saw clearly and understood Hu Meinyang's intentions. It's my tyrant's turn to choose. I will choose the Dark Fiend Clan. Chu Feiyang said directly. Chapter 806. In the knockout round, if they could choose the weak, they would naturally choose the weak. After all, no matter how weak they were still the top 10 experts in their respective galaxies. No one dared to say that they could defeat the other party without suffering any injuries. If they could minimize their casualties, they would naturally choose to minimize their casualties. Preserving their strength for the top 5 was the key. Immediately after, Morichis from the Zerg and Nia Fan from the Protoss chose the Goblin and Phantom tribes respectively. The remaining Elves and Winged tribes formed the Winged tribe. It had to be said that these 2 tribes were the most suitable. Firstly, the leaders of the 2 tribes were evenly matched. The Elves entered the top 5, and the Winged tribe was 6th. Secondly, among the top 10 experts, although the Winged tribe and Winged tribe did not display the advantage of flying, it did not mean that they could not use it in a duel. Their speed in a small area, dodging, and attacking advantages were extremely difficult to deal with. This was also the reason why the tyrants, Zerg, and Protoss did not choose the winged tribe. Including me, I can only guarantee 2 victories. The other 2 victories depend on the opportunity. You have to send at least 3 people. Decide now, it's about to start. Hu Mainyang sent a voice transmission to Qin Hao after choosing the Heavenly Fiend tribe. No problem. Other than her, Qin Hao, and the others, no one knew that Ao Tian had arrived. Even the 10 experts who decided to participate in the competition were kept in the dark. Otherwise, even if the 10 of them did not reveal it, their abnormal mentality would have revealed some clues. How could a little wind not cause waves? Once word got out, their concealment would be meaningless. In order to not surprise the human cultivators, Hu Mainyang had already announced that there were 10 warriors who were willing to sacrifice themselves for the human race. However, she did not announce their names. She only said that it was up to her to decide who would go on stage and no objections. The cultivators who had signed up and announced their names naturally did not have any objections. Who was willing to sacrifice themselves? It was only because they were forced to this point and their strength was there that they decided to fight for the glory of the human race. That's good. You just need to inform your people who will go on stage. I will arrange my people. Also, let everyone who goes on stage disguise their aura. It's best to change their appearance to confuse the public. Qin Hao said. The participants only needed to get on the stage before the battle started. Once they got on the stage, they could not be changed. This didn't mean that the 10 people who appeared in the knockout round had to appear in the top 5. The Tyrants, the Zergs, and the Protoss all had a lot of backup combat power aside from the top 10. If they changed their opponent to another galaxy, they could casually change 10 people. There would be no restrictions. I don't need you to tell me, Hu Mainyang said directly. She knew full well that Proud Heaven's members had to disguise their auras and appearances, and the others had to do the same. Moreover, if nothing unexpected happened, the participants from other galaxies would also be able to disguise their auras. After all, when the time came, they would take turns to go on stage and let the other party decide who would go on stage. Now that the opponents have been chosen, I would like to invite everyone to join me in laying down restrictions on Broken Peak as a duel arena. Chi 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 chi, along with Chu Feiyang's words, Hu Mainyang and the others didn't hesitate and directly made their moves. In an instant, terrifying energy fluctuations and endless mysterious runes rose up. The entire flattened mountain peak was simultaneously laid down by the 10 great experts with an incomparably powerful restriction. The 10 people represented the strongest of the 10 galaxies. The restrictions laid down by the 10 people were naturally able to withstand the battles of all the participants present. Miss Hu, let your people come on stage. Chu Feiyang, the host, said to Hu Mainyang with a smile after the restrictions were formed. Hiss 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 hiss. Hu Mainyang gently waved her hand, and 100 miles behind her, the 10 people who had already been prepared rose into the air in an instant. Ah ah ah. I've been suffocating, I can finally breathe. Coiling Dragon, whose body had shrunk to 1/3 of its original size, emitted a very ordinary aura under the cover of the appearance-changing ring. At best, he was ranked 7th among the 10 participants of the human race. Although he was shouting in his heart, his face carried a heroic expression of sacrifice for the human race that had been forced by Qin Hao in the past 2 days. Junior brother, you only need to win a Pyrrhic victory, otherwise you won't have a share in the future. Qin Hao looked at Coiling Dragon's pained expression and had to remind him again. It was reasonable to say that Coiling Dragon shouldn't be allowed to come on stage at all, but under this guy's bitter pleading, Qin Hao was also afraid that this guy would really suffocate, so he could only let him go on stage first. With the cover of the appearance-changing ring, as long as this guy didn't lose control, there wouldn't be a problem. Understood. I will definitely win a Pyrrhic victory. Senior Marshal brother, you can rest assured. I guarantee that I will be more miserable than you. Coiling Dragon transmitted his voice with incomparable firmness. Coiling Dragon's words made Qin Hao directly mourn for his opponent. Fuck, this was obviously a masochist who wanted to torture the abuser to death. isn't that the brother we've met before? He's actually one of the other 10 warriors who signed up. What a good person. Looks like his strength is definitely not bad. In the crowd, Niu Er, who claimed to be Lan Feng's sworn brother, immediately exclaimed in surprise when he saw the familiar face Chen Hao had disguised himself as. His aura and appearance have all changed, so who knows who is who cares so much, he's a warrior anyway. After the battle, he will naturally be exposed. These are all heroes of the human race, so even if he dies, he will still be martyrs. That's right, that's right. Apart from Chen Hao and Coiling Dragon, there was also a fair and handsome youth with a serious expression. Needless to say, this was naturally Qin Shui, who possessed an extremely perverse transformation ability. Coiling Dragon had the appearance-changing ring, while Chen Hao and Qin Shui had the ability to merge with all things in the world. Moreover, they didn't have any obvious characteristics, so they were undoubtedly the easiest to conceal. This was especially true for Qin Shui, who could conceal her feminine aura and transform into a man, so who would be able to guess that it was her? However, at this moment, Chen Hao's appearance was the most ferocious because he had to forcibly suppress the battle intent and aura in his heart. What a lunatic, Hu Mainyang transmitted her voice after seeing Chen Hao enter the arena. Don't make a mistake and expose yourself. This is exciting and challenging, what do you know? Chen Hao reprimanded. I know you. Fuck. Humph. Hu Mainyang raised her chin slightly. Although she didn't look in Chen Hao's direction, her proud snort and appearance made Chen Hao grit his teeth. First group, the human race's vast universe galaxy versus the heavenly demon race's demon king galaxy. Heavenly demon race, your first contestant to enter the arena. Without wasting any time, while everyone was still discussing spiritedly, Chu Feiyang, who was acting as the host, spoke crisply. Humph. Hu Mainyang, even if you've clearly detected our aura, it doesn't matter. Fujioka, you, enter the arena. Remember, be straightforward and don't drag it out for too long, it's fine as long as the losses outweigh the gains. The leader of the heavenly demon race said with a sinister smile, his eyes flashing with a ferocity that anyone could see. Chapter 807. Don't worry, Brother Fujiwara. I, Fujioka, will know my limits. Keek keek, swish. The first contestant from the Heavenly Fiend clan, Fujioka, laughed sinisterly as he suddenly turned into a stream of light and stepped into the barrier of Broken Peak. His entire body exuded a blood-red demonic aura, and his killing intent was awe-inspiring. Fujioka was the fourth strongest of the 10 contestants from the Heavenly Fiend clan. Fujiwara, the leader of the Heavenly Fiend clan, felt that it was the most reasonable reason for him to fight. Hu Mainyang would never fight Fujioka, and among the other humans, at most 2 could hope to fight Fujioka. The outcome was still uncertain. This was the only way to limit the humans' performance. Whether the humans sent out a strong or weak contestant, the Heavenly Fiend clan would not lose much. If the weak contestant came, Fujioka would definitely win. He was ranked 4th and did not waste much resources. If the strong contestant came, as long as it was not Hu Mainyang, Fujioka's chances of winning were still very high. The Heavenly Fiend clan believed that Hu Mainyang would not dare to waste the opportunity. The human elites would definitely stay to deal with the weak contestants that they were certain of winning. If they made a mistake, their already slim hope might turn into despair. Even Chu Feiyang and the others from the Tyrants thought the same. There was no doubt that the Heavenly Fiend clan's decision to send out Fujioka first was a very wise one. Come. Who dares to fight me, Fujioka? Hu Mainyang, I don't mind if you come up, ha ha ha. Fujioka said arrogantly as he looked provocatively at Hu Mainyang and the others outside the barrier. Little Shui, you go. Chen Hao directly transmitted his voice. You go. Just as Chen Hao was about to transmit his voice to Hu Mainyang looked directly at Qin Shui, her eyes shining. Hu Mainyang already knew everything about Qin Shui. Although she had never met the Proud Heavens members after they arrived, she could tell that the fair-skinned youth who had changed his gender was Qin Shui. All right. Swish. Chen Shue's valiant and slender figure immediately transformed into a ray of flowing light and stepped into the seal. The expression on her face was incomparably solemn, as if she was facing a great enemy. The aura hidden around her body also rapidly soared, seemingly gathering to the peak without holding back. She's so strong. Could she be the second or third strongest of the humans? The aura that Chen Shui released was faintly on par with Tengang, which was out of everyone's expectations. After all, Hu Mainyang had used the Red Dust Heart Sutra to disrupt the Sky Demon clan's concealment of aura, and everyone knew that Fujioka was an elite ranked in the middle of the Sky Demon clan. Even if true combat ability was not determined by aura, aura was the only way to judge and must be taken into consideration. However, Hu Mainyang's arrangement was clearly not the best choice in the eyes of some smart people, and carried a great risk. Once Chen Shui lost, it would mean that the human race had lost an expert against a weakling from the Heaven Devil race. But risks and benefits coexisted. If Chen Shui won, then the human race's chances of advancing would undoubtedly increase greatly. Tell me your name. I, Fujioka, do not kill nameless people. Fujioka's expression was still arrogant, but there was a trace of seriousness between his brows. Fujioka's question was something that everyone, including the human race, wanted to know the answer to. Bai Tian. Chen Shui hesitated for a moment before reporting a name. At this moment, if he didn't even report his name, it would indeed be a little unreasonable. But it definitely couldn't be too obvious. Like Chen Hao's name, which could easily be associated with Chen Ritian, it definitely couldn't be done. Bai Tian, in comparison, was much more reserved. Taking snow as white, taking the sky as vast. But, after Chen Shui reported it, he regretted it a little. As expected, Chen Hao's gaze became strange and excited. Oh, heavens, Bai Tian. Ha ha ha. What a good name. I'm Yi Yi. Let this Yi Yi bring you into the endless darkness and sleep there forever. Ha ha ha. Clang. Boom. Fujioka unsheathed his sword, and the true essence around his body immediately circulated violently. Endless crimson demonic aura instantly spread out and pressed down on Chen Shui. Buzz. Chen Shui's body suddenly trembled. In an instant, the space around him shook, and his figure disappeared. Immediately after, an incomparably sharp sword light suddenly appeared out of thin air, containing the endless power of lightning, and attacked Fujioka. The mysteries of space and lightning fused into one. This pretty boy is a little tricky. Fujioka was shocked. He, who had originally planned to use his violent strength to directly trample Chen Shui, suddenly changed his tactics at this moment, and became agile. Boom. Rumble. Chi chi chi. Energy exploded, wreaking havoc. The two of them separated upon contact, but immediately after, thousands of sword lights containing magical runes flashed out. The top experts of the major galaxies are indeed powerful. Even Chen Hao secretly praised in his heart. The seemingly violent Fujioka undoubtedly had extremely exquisite combat skills and rich battle experience. Facing Chen Shui, who had fused the mysteries of space and lightning, if he continued to attack, it would obviously be unwise. It would only exhaust his energy, and in the end, he would be killed by Chen Shui because he ran out of energy first. Because Chen Shui, who had comprehended the mysteries of space to such a level, was undoubtedly a character who appeared and disappeared unpredictably, and came and went like lightning. Coupled with the lightning-fast attack of Chen Shui, and Chen Shui's strength that was not weaker than his, directly trampling her was already impossible. The only way was to fight back and preserve his strength. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Chi chi chi. Boom boom boom, the figures of the two flickered in the seal, leaving behind afterimages. Sword lights danced in the sky and fiercely collided. For a moment, countless cultivators were dazzled and overwhelmed. As expected of a showdown between the top experts of the galaxy. They are already so strong. If Chu Feiyang of the tyrant race and Hu Mainyang of the human race were to fight, what would the scene be like? countless people were horrified and secretly thought, Bai Tian, must be a low-key expert of our vast universe galaxy. He's really strong, and he's not at a disadvantage at all. If he can win this battle, the chances of us appearing will be higher. Yes, the human race cultivators looked at Chen Shui's elusive figure and the powerful strength she displayed. Their emotions surged, and they clenched their fists. They were even more nervous than when they went up to fight. Bai Tian, no one knew that among the 10 experts of the human race, the only girl besides Hu Mainyang, who had changed her appearance but was still the second most outstanding person of the human race, was muttering in her heart at this moment. She stared at Chen Shui, who was fighting in the seal, thoughtfully. It can't be her. Bailey Ningbing shook her head slightly and thought to herself, if she is Chen Shui, then she and Ao Tian must have already arrived. With his domineering and arrogant personality, how can he be low-key? He will kill all the way, and blood will flow like a river. Bailey Ningbing was undoubtedly one of the people who understood Chen Hao and the women around him the most. As for the news that Chen Shui could transform into a man, let alone her, even countless cultivators of the other races knew about it. Chapter 808. In reality, most of the secrets regarding killing God Chen Hao and the members of Ao Tian were no longer secrets. After becoming the most dazzling existences of the human race and even the entire primal secret realm, their desire for gossip had been ignited. What could they hide? As long as it was exposed in front of others, there was nowhere to hide. When Chen Shui and Long Ting were in the aircraft, the news of Chen Shui transforming into a man had long been spread by the human race cultivators in the aircraft. Coupled with Chen Shui's obscure name and Bailey Ningbing's understanding of Chen Shui, as well as her sharp intuition as a woman, she thought of Chen Shui. However, because she knew Chen Hao's character better, she denied it. One had to say, if Chen Hao did not listen to Han Mei's advice, he would most likely be like Bailey Ningbing. Even if he comes, what can I do? Bailey Ningbing's heart sank, a trace of bitterness appeared at the corner of her mouth. Since I can't forget, why should I? The words Han Mei said to her when she first met her appeared in her mind. However, Bailey Ningbing could not face it, nor did she know what to do. She was who she was. She had her pride and her persistence. She couldn't pitifully admit defeat and curry favor with him. What happened had already happened. It could never be erased. Although she had a different state of mind and understanding, as well as regret and disappointment, she knew that if she could go back in time, she would still walk the same path. Fortunately, he was abnormally strong. Otherwise, the result would be different. Boom! Rumble, Chen Shui and Tinggang's battle lasted for more than 10 minutes. Both of them had expended a lot of energy. Whether it was spirit, qi, or true yuan, they were all disconnected. However, both of them were still fighting with all their might. Suddenly, they collided head-on and both of them flew backwards. Pooh! Pooh! Whether it was Chen Shui or Tingang, at this moment, they both spat out a mouthful of blood. Their blood dyed the sky as they fell to the ground. I will never lose to you. Chen Shui's eyes were no longer bright, but they were still filled with madness and passion. The moment she landed, she charged forward again. However, her speed was much slower, and her flying posture was a little shaky. Ha ha ha! It's time to send you on your way. Boom! Fujioka's pale complexion suddenly became rosy. His weak aura was like a withered tree in spring, suddenly becoming several times stronger. Ah! What? Fujioka was actually in disguise. Not good. Admit defeat. Brother Bai Tian, you did your best. Admit defeat, Brother Bai Tian. At this moment, the cultivators of the human race were abnormally alarmed. Their hearts clenched for Chen Shui. At this moment, even the strangers of the human race were unwilling to sacrifice a warrior who fought for the honor of the human race. Everyone could see that Chen Shui had already reached the point where she was like a lamp that had run out of oil, and the aura that the Cunnington gang suddenly burst out was not something that Chen Shui could contend against. Therefore, many human cultivators cried out in fear. The endless darkness is your home during the day. Weng. Chi. A beam of sword light pierced through the sky. The terrifying crimson demonic power illuminated the entire broken peak. Just the chi explosion caused by the prelude made Qin Shui's figure withered like a leaf in the wind. The aura of death, at this moment, pervaded the hearts of countless human race cultivators. Go to hell. Roar. Fujioka's final roar, and roar with all his strength, poured all his essence, energy, spirit, and power into this beam of sword light. Although his body had already started to fall from the void due to exhaustion, his face was brimming with the glory of a victor. His gaze was fixed on Bai Tian, who was about to be turned into dust by his final blow with all his strength. Weng. What? But halfway down, Fujioka's expression froze. His pupils contracted and his hair stood on end. As if he had seen the most unbelievable thing, his back was ice cold and cold sweat broke out. He wanted to gather energy, but for the final blow, he was already a lamp that had run out of oil. Ah! The Sky Fiend clan, the human race, and the other foreign races all let out exclamations containing different meanings almost at the same time. You're a little too early. Die. Poof. Boom. A cold voice suddenly appeared beside Fujioka. An incomparably sharp beam of sword light that contained endless thunder directly pierced through the defenseless Fujioka, turning him into a rain of blood. The dust had settled. And Qin Shui fell directly. In an instant, life and death were reversed. Who would have thought? What a pity, the two's combat power was definitely evenly matched. If Fujioka had not lost his cool and broken the disguise first, the one who would have died would be Bai Tian. Humans, although Bai Tian's strength is average, his shrewdness and temperament are steadier. The elf leader suddenly flashed her extremely beautiful rainbow-colored wings as she spoke softly. Many people nodded. Fujioka thought that Qin Shui no longer had the ability to use the mysteries of space to teleport, which was why he had unreservedly used all his strength to unleash his final killing move. But he did not expect that Qin Shui was also in disguise. Her swaying figure that was staggering as she flew suddenly burst out with her hidden power at the last moment, cutting through the void and closing in on the defenseless Fujioka to unleash her final move. Bai Tian! Bai Tian! Bai Tian! The human race erupted into cheers that resounded through the heavens and the earth. Countless people shouted, Bai Tian, at the top of their lungs. The low-key, unknown, Bai Tian, was destined to be imprinted in the hearts of all the human race cultivators present from this battle onwards. The Heavenly Fiend clan cultivators had ugly expressions. The ups and downs of life were really too fast. If Fujioka could have been a little later, just a little bit, they would not have lost this battle. At least they could have perished together. Unfortunately, there were no ifs. The first round, Bai Tian of the human race wins. Miss Hu, congratulations, you've taken a step forward. Chu Feiyang of the Tyrants smiled as he gazed at Hu Mainyang and announced the results of the first round. He did not shy away from congratulating her. This was more or less a slap to the Heavenly Fiend clan's face, but why would he care? Thank you, I was just lucky. Hiss. Hu Mainyang directly turned into a stream of light. After entering the seal, she released a bright energy and entered the collapsed Qin Shui's body. With a concerned expression, she asked, Bai Tian, do you need Mainyang to help you heal? Crash! Hu Mainyang's words caused an uproar among countless cultivators. Their eyes were filled with envy as they looked at Bai Tian. The high and mighty Hu Mainyang was the goddess in the hearts of countless cultivators. When had she ever been so kind to a man? Helping to heal. What a great honor this was. No need. However, to everyone's surprise, Qin Shui was actually neither cold nor warm. She did not even look at Hu Mainyang and said lightly, Then Mainyang will bring you out first. Hu Mainyang smiled slightly. With a wave of her hand, she released a stream of energy that wrapped around Qin Shui. Immediately, she returned to the side of Qin Hao and the others. Chen Shui directly swallowed a pill, sat down cross-legged, and entered a state of recovery and healing. Miss Hu, please have one of your people enter first, Chu Feiyang said straightforwardly. Chapter 809. Hu Meinyang's gaze slowly swept over Chen Hao and the others, her brows furrowed as if she was having a hard time deciding. Miss Hu, let me do it. At this moment, a cultivator in disguise volunteered. No. Hu Meinyang's eyes abruptly flashed with a sharp glint, but it was caught by many sky demon elites and cultivators even though it was only for an instant. But, say no more. Hu Meinyang waved a hand to stop him, and then turned to another cultivator who had disguised his aura and was at the back of the 10 humans. You go. Hearing Hu Meinyang's words, the cultivator's expression dimmed slightly, and he seemed to be disappointed. However, he nodded helplessly and flew into the restriction. The ones who volunteered must be the top 3 human elites. And the ones Hu Meinyang pointed out must be the weaker ones, the sacrificial lambs. That's right. That must be it. Hu Meinyang's eyes clearly showed that she didn't hide anything from those who volunteered. They can't afford to lose, and the elites must wait for our weaker ones to go up before attacking. Pig! You were fooled by such a simple trick. You underestimate Hu Meinyang too much. Fu Yuan, the leader of the sky demons, transmitted telepathically, his eyes shining with confidence. Ahem. Brother Fu, could we be wrong? I don't think she's faking it. Hu Meinyang is extraordinarily intelligent and meticulous. How could she not control her expression at this time and let you see through her? She's clearly digging a trap for us to jump into. Your so-called sacrificial lambs are the top 3 human elites. Even if he hid it well, he couldn't escape my eyes. Brother Fu is wise, impressive. We were almost fooled. Hu Meinyang is truly cunning and sinister. Brother Fu, who should we send? We can't have any more surprises. The humans are much stronger than we imagined. 9th G, you go. 9th G, the 3rd-ranked elite of the Sky Demons, was stronger than Fujioka. The Sky Demons had already lost one match, and they had to win this one even if they had to waste a bit of their strength. Otherwise, their morale would fall, and that would directly affect their competitors' performance. Chi. Before Chu Feiyang could open his mouth to urge him, the 3rd expert of the Heavenly Devil clan had already released an incomparably valiant aura and stepped into the seal. 9th G of the Sky Devil race. Tell me your name. Ji Jiu's voice was cold and his expression dignified. Even though he had absolute confidence in his victory, he did not underestimate this human cultivator in front of him. Human, nameless. Nameless? That's right. Admitting defeat is a very shameful thing. Do you think I would stupidly announce my name? You're too strong. I admit that I'm no match for you. Great Expert Chu, please announce the result. Hiss. After the human cultivator finished speaking, he flew out of the seal. Ha ha ha, Pan Long, Chen Hao, and the other human contestants burst into laughter. Even Hu Meinyang revealed a warm smile. At first, the human cultivators were very disdainful when they saw one of their own admit defeat so shamelessly. However, everyone understood what was going on when they saw the expressions of Chen Hao, Hu Meinyang, and the others. They all burst into laughter. It was clear that the Sky Demons had jumped into the pit that Hu Meinyang had dug. The 3rd expert of the Sky Demons, Ji Jiu, had been wasted on the weakest human cultivator. It was truly tragic. At this moment, the face of the Sky Demons leader, Ming Yuan, had turned the color of pig liver. He could not wait to find a hole to hide in. Just a moment ago, he had thought that he was smarter than others and had the pearl of wisdom in his hands. But now, it had become his last name. Interesting. Chu Feiyang of the Tyrants smiled. The Sky Demons have won the 2nd round. 1 draw. Ming Yuan, it's your turn. You go. Ming Yuan, who had flown into a rage out of humiliation, immediately sent the 6th expert of the Sky Demons. Even though he had won the first round, he was so stifled that he wanted to vomit blood. In a situation where the enemy was in the dark and he was in the light, no matter how he arranged, he was restrained everywhere. He could only choose the expert in the middle to fight openly. Which one of you is confident? Hu Mainyang sent a telepathic message to Bailey Ningbing and the other expert of the human race, Gao Lan, the moment the sixth expert of the sky demons stepped onto the stage. Gao Lan was the first to volunteer to fight. Before Bailey Ningbing had appeared, he was the true blue second expert of the human race. He was on par with Bailey Ningbing in terms of ability, and was also someone whom both Hu Mainyang and Qin Hao believed must win. I'm 60% confident. Gao Lan replied telepathically. I'm more or less the same, 60% is a little too little. The two of you must win 2 rounds for us to have 100% chance of winning. 100% chance of winning? Gao Lan and Bailey Ningbing were both slightly surprised at Hu Mainyang's words. Then, both of them thought of the other 2 complete strangers. Even though they had all changed their appearances, the original 10 had already gotten to know each other. While others might not be able to tell them apart, they could still tell who was who. This time, only 3 of the 10 participants had changed, and one of them, Bai Tian, had already won a round. Since Hu Mainyang dared to say that the 2 of them could win 2 rounds and that the human race would have 100% chance of winning, it meant that there were 2 other people apart from herself who would definitely win 2 rounds. Clearly, they were the remaining 2 strangers. After all, the others definitely didn't have 100% chance of winning. Alright, you don't have to care about this round. After a brief exchange of telepathic messages, Hu Mainyang's gaze remained unchanged as she sent a telepathic message to Qin Hao, asking, which one of you is up? Coiling Dragon, you go. Qin Hao replied. Boom. What the hell? Junior brother, you'd better take it easy. Don't be violent, be gentle. Cough cough. I can't help it, I can't help it. Don't worry, senior brother, it's just 50% of my power. It won't be too flashy. I'll do my best to be a little gentler. Damn it, I'm suffocating. After receiving the news that he was allowed to fight, Coiling Dragon was extremely excited. Although he really wanted to fight with the leader of the Sky Devil race, Qin Hao, and Hu Mainyang would definitely not allow it. He had to keep a low profile and hide. It was already very, very good that he was allowed to fight with the 6th ranked expert. That was why his stomp could shake the mountains and earth. It was a little too violent and ferocious. That human seems to be pretty ferocious. It seems that the rumors are wrong. The human race's ability is definitely not as bad as the rumors say. Bai Tian is up against him, and he probably won't be any weaker. Coiling Dragon was the first to step up, and he inadvertently made countless cultivators see him in a new light. Qin Hao and Hu Mainyang were rather helpless as well. I'm Zhao Qin. Tell me your name. Ha ha ha. You only have the right to know if you can take 500 blows from me. Come on, cut the crap. Chapter 8:10. Bang! Coiling Dragon had shrunk to 1/3 of his size. Even though he was trying his best to suppress it, it was said that a leopard never changes its spots. He was so arrogant that he almost said 5 moves, and without wasting any words, he took a step forward and charged at Zhao Qin. You call that gentle? Qin Hao was truly speechless. If he had known this would happen, he would not have let this fellow fight even if he had to stifle himself to death. But it was too late to say anything now. Fortunately, he had the disguise of the Transfiguration Ring, and no one would recognize him as Coiling Dragon no matter how irascible he was. After all, Coiling Dragon's primordial beast aura could not be concealed without the Transfiguration Ring. Moreover, it was indeed gentle for Coiling Dragon. Arrogant. You want to sign up for 500 moves just because you cut me down in 100 moves. Swish. 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 Zhao Qin was enraged by Coiling Dragon's blatant disdain, and he swung his sword to meet the attack. Streaks of sword light instantly filled the air like a gentle drizzle, while Zhao Chen's figure seemed to have turned into a willow in the wind, dancing with the wind. It's actually the soft way of the sword. Everyone in the crowd, including Qin Hao, was a little surprised. It was not that the soft way of the sword was strong, but that it did not fit in with someone as irascible as Zhao Chen. Still, it had to be said that it was the best tactic to counter someone as wild as Coiling Dragon. Fortunately, Coiling Dragon's true strength was far more than what he had shown. Otherwise, even Qin Hao and Hu Mainyang would not have been able to predict who would win in this battle of strength and yang against yin and gentleness. Bloody hell, you're acting like a woman. Fight me if you're a man. Coiling Dragon, who was about to suffer internal injuries from holding himself back, yearned for a head-on battle. He would be able to vent even if he was covered in wounds, but Zhao Chen of the Sky Demon was like cotton, rendering Coiling Dragon's ferocious attacks useless. That's the effect I want. Zhao Chen's voice was ethereal, and her graceful figure was pleasing to the eyes. If it was a beautiful woman who displayed such a sword skill, it would really be a pleasure. Coiling Dragon really wanted to bring out the Ares axe and chop this guy into pieces. However, not to mention the Ares axe, even his strength would be suppressed by half. Damn it! I don't believe it. Boom! With an explosion, Coiling Dragon, who was attacking wildly, suddenly retreated. Soon after, under the puzzled gazes of the crowd, Coiling Dragon stood in the air and punched the ground. Bang! Rumble, the ferocious golden fist made the entire broken peak tremble violently. The mountains and rivers that stretched for tens of thousands of miles trembled. Is this guy crazy? Isn't this a waste of energy? Many cultivators were stunned when they saw that Pan Long did not attack his opponent, but instead bombarded the ground with violent power. This was completely irrational behavior. After all, the opponent's soft sword was impenetrable, and his defense was able to deflect the force of the attack. It was already exhausting Pan Long's power, but he was still wasting his power. It was really puzzling. But it was only for a split second, but a loud rumbling sound erupted from the broken peak. When huge rocks rose from below the Coiling Dragon, everyone's eyes widened in shock. No way. Even Qin Hao was speechless. Damn it. Stupid people have stupid methods. To think that Coiling Dragon could come up with such a stupid but absolutely effective method. This was great wisdom disguised as stupidity. Of course, seeing this scene, Qin Hao also knew that Coiling Dragon would rather hold back than continue playing with this guy from the Sky Demon race. I'll smash you to death without a dick. Pew 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 pew. Boulders after boulders danced in the air like locusts, flying toward Zhao Chen from every direction. Coiling Dragon's fighting spirit, and true yuan surged out of his body, imbuing each boulder with extremely violent energy. Borrowing all things in the world, he condensed an 8-sided cage. Meanwhile, Coiling Dragon himself turned into a streak of light and appeared in the air above Zhao Chen, stomping down. Anyone could see that Coiling Dragon had used up all his strength in this one move. He was going all out. Pester. Wear down his strength. That was a straightforward and frantic blossoming in the shortest time possible. If he could defend, he would die. If he couldn't, he would live. There was no room for negotiation. Ah! The Sky Demon race's Zhao Chen did not expect Coiling Dragon to be so ferocious. He was definitely fighting with no regard for his own life, completely disregarding life and death. Against such a lunatic, there was no hope even if he wanted to continue fighting. All he could do was fight with his life on the line. Pew pew pew. The soft sword Dao suddenly disappeared. Zhao Chen madly urged his sword, unleashing 10,000 swords in an instant, each of them containing his most powerful strength. When enemies meet on a narrow path, the brave wins. In this life and death situation, he could not hold anything back. Rumble, a series of terrifying explosions resounded through the world. Stone fragments swirled and filled the air above Broken Peak, completely engulfing the two figures. Everything within tens of thousands of miles was silent. Everyone stared blankly at the scene, inhaling sharply. Against such a person who was willing to fight with his life on the line, all battle techniques and tactics were useless. Only the release of one's true strength was the absolute truth. It was even more vicious than the 7 wounds fist. Damn, what a talent! Chen Hao's lips curled into a smile. It had to be said that Coiling Dragon had done well. He had let everyone know that he was a true brave man who was neither weak nor strong, without revealing his greater strength. Brother Pan is mighty, so strong. Brute! In the distance, Lan Feng and Chen Ling exclaimed inwardly. They were not at all worried that Coiling Dragon would lose. His opponent was merely the 6th-ranked elite of the Sky Demons, and if Coiling Dragon unleashed his true strength, he would not even be fit to carry his shoes. How could anything happen to him? On the other hand, countless human and Sky Demon cultivators were staring nervously at Broken Peak, where stone fragments and dust filled the air, waiting for the result. As the dust settled, 2 bloody figures appeared before everyone's eyes. Coiling Dragon stood proudly, but he was trembling. One of his arms was gone, and a chunk of his head seemed to have fallen off. His body was riddled with sword holes, with blood gushing out. Miserable. Absolutely miserable. But, compared to his opponent, Zhao Qin of the Sky Demons was even more miserable. That was because, he could not be more dead. His entire head had been reduced to minced meat, and Coiling Dragon's foot happened to be right where his head should have been. It was obvious that his head had been crushed. Ah. Junior brother is really nice to himself. Do you have to be so cruel? Chen Hao was a little stunned, and hurriedly sent a telepathic message to Hu Meinyang. Quick, save him. He won't die even if he pretends. What's the rush? Fuck, you're still pretending. Hiss. Despite her words, Hu Meinyang flew directly to Broken Peak, saying at the same time, Brother Chu, isn't the result clear? Our man is badly injured and can't heal himself. Meinyang, save him first. All right. The 3rd round, the humans win. Now 2-1, the humans lead. Chapter 8:11. Hee, senior brother, I'm miserable, right? Can you be as miserable as me? Miserable. I'm ashamed of my inferiority. No way. Senior brother, you're admitting defeat just like that? Nonsense, I'm perfectly fine here. Chen Hao, who was communicating telepathically with the returning coiled dragon, casually scratched his head, but the coiled dragon egg shattered into pieces. Congratulations, Miss Hu. Why you humans are very different from the rumors. It's your turn to fight in the 4th round. Chu Feiyang of the Tyrants said casually with a smile. The humans were indeed much stronger than the rumors said, but they were still nothing in front of the many elites of the Tyrants. Although he was surprised, he did not take it to heart. You flatter me, Brother Chu. It was just a fluke. You, go, Hu Meinyang said directly as she looked at the human cultivator who had volunteered. All right. The human cultivator immediately responded excitedly and flew directly to the arena. Seeing him enter the arena, the leader of the Sky Fiend clan, Ma Yuan, flushed red. Was he an elite among the 10 humans, or the weakest? He was completely terrified by Hu Meinyang's cunning and unpredictable mind. What do you all think? Ma Yuan looked at the others and asked telepathically. Brother Ma, Hu Meinyang is too cunning. It's hard to tell if she's real or fake. Yes, she must have dug a hole for us just now. It's hard to tell if this person is an elite or a weakling. However, according to the news we received, Bailey Ningbing, who has an affair with Chen Hao, is very strong. That young girl must be her. There's also someone called Gao Lan who's very strong. Including Hu Meinyang, there are 3 of them. This person might be Gao Lan, or he might not be. Damn it, I'm asking who's going. What's the point of saying all this? Do you think I don't know? This. You should decide. The cultivator who spoke stopped talking at once, but secretly cursed Ma Yuan for being an idiot. If he had not thought himself smart, he would not have wasted 9th G on the weakest human disciple. I'll go. It's safer. We won't lose much even if we lose. We must win this round. At that moment, the 5th-ranked elite of the Sky Fiend clan spoke up. All right. Feng Yuan nodded. Up until now, the top 5 experts were only him, 2nd place, and 5th place. 5th place was indeed the safest. As for him and Hu Mainyang, the 2 number 1 experts, they would not act rashly. After all, as long as he did not face Hu Mainyang, it did not matter who his opponent was. He had absolute confidence that he could defeat his opponent and win. As for Hu Mainyang, she was even more inferior. If Feng Yuan dared to take the lead, she would not hesitate to attack. Of course, Hu Mainyang knew that Ji Yuan would definitely avoid her. The Sky Demons had won that battle by a considerable margin, but they were unable to kill the human cultivators. Seeing that there was no hope, the human cultivators simply chose to surrender. This person and the human clan cultivator were the 2 weakest among the 10 human clan cultivators. In fact, if one wanted to kill someone, even if it was the strongest against the weakest, it would still be very difficult. Those who could be killed were basically of equal strength. Everyone felt that they could win, which was why there would be deaths. Otherwise, as long as the opponent could not destroy the other in a single move, they would have the chance to surrender. Especially since the Sky Demons had already revealed their true aura, which made it even harder for them to kill the human cultivators. For matches, 2 draw. In the 5th match, the Sky Demons sent their 7th-ranked expert. Bailey Ningbing took the stage right away, using her formidable immortal sword will and combat talents to win the 3rd match for the human clan. By now, the human race's Hu Mainyang was destined to win this round. There was also Gao Lan, whose reputation was hidden among the last 4. She would definitely be able to capture one of the 8th, 9th, or 10th Heaven Devil race and obtain another victory. That would mean 5 victories. However, the human clan would have no advantage if there was an additional match. Furthermore, in order for the Sky Devil race to win 4 out of the remaining 5 matches, they would need the 2nd-ranked expert to go up against Gao Lan. That was simply impossible as their situation was like a lice on a monk's head. It was obvious that Gao Lan would be able to grab one of the last 2 in order of appearance. As for whether the last 2 Sky Demons could win against the other human cultivator, it was not so certain either. At this point, the Sky Demons were all stifled with gloom. If they had known that this would happen, they would have attacked powerfully from the start and perhaps have a better chance of winning 6 matches. Now, however, no matter how unwilling they were, they had to fight for 6 victories on the basis of keeping 5. In the 6th match, the Sky Demons had no idea what was going on, but to keep 5, their 2nd-ranked experts stepped out and won. 3 draw. In the 7th match, the Sky Demons sent their 8th Sky Demon up, but Gao Lan of the human clan seized the chance and let the human clan take the lead again, making it 4-3. In the 8th match, the human clan sent their 7th Sky Demon expert. The Sky Demon's leader stepped out without hesitation, forcing the human clan cultivator to surrender at once, or they would be insta-killed once the battle began. 4 draw. It was a stalemate. The humans were left with Hu Mainyang and Qin Hao, while the Sky Demons were left with the 2 rookies, ranked 9th and 10th. Hu Mainyang was using a butcher's knife to kill chickens, but there was no other way. The key is to see how strong the human clan is. If they win, the human clan would advance straight away, but if they lose, they would have to fight another person, and the human clan would be in danger. It's hard to say. It's rumored that the human clan is so weak, but Bai Tian and that fierce man who appeared today are quite strong. Who knows if the last one would be fierce as well. The Sky Demon's leader is really a pig. If not for his lousy tactical arrangements, victory would have been secured, and there's no telling if they could keep the tie now. Cultivators from various galaxies were buzzing with discussion at the moment, their gazes fixed on the 2 remaining Sky Fiend race members and Qin Hao. You go. If Hu Mainyang goes, you can just surrender, but if the last one goes, you have to win with me even if you have to risk your life. I will give you first credit for the Imperial Chalcedony share. Ming Yuan, the Sky Demon's leader, said somberly. It would be fine if they could win this time. But if they lost, it would be the end of his reign as leader. Even if no one challenged his combat ability, he would be too ashamed to continue, losing all credibility and face. Yeah. Hiss. The Sky Demon's ninth Sky Demon expert grunted in response and promptly ascended Broken Peak. The Tao laws around Hu Mainyang's body surged slightly as she appeared on Broken Peak, but everyone knew what would happen next. That cultivator turned and jumped off Broken Peak. The Sky Demon's weakest was left for Qin Hao. Even Qin Hao had not expected such a result. Was Hu Mainyang too shrewd, or was the Sky Demon race too stupid? It went without saying. In short, they had steadily and unexpectedly forced the other party to be the last to appear. Chapter 8:12. At that moment, Hu Mainyang's eyes twinkled as she stared at Qin Hao with a solemn expression, saying, "Human, victory depends on you." Her acting skills were definitely at the level of a movie queen. "Miss Hu, I'll do my best. I'll fight for the glory of the human race, even if I have to climb a mountain of swords or plunge into a pot of boiling oil." Qin Hao's already ferocious face now shone with a red glow that could have been excitement or flattery. His fighting spirit soared as his body trembled, and before he even stepped onto the stage, he was already burning up because of Hu Mainyang's words. "Not bad, the Sky Demons are going to have a headache this time. Look at that aura, he's going to go all out. The human race has a good chance of advancing. Hu Mainyang is truly a queen among women. One word, one look, and she's able to get people to risk their lives for her. She's also full of wisdom and tricks, and it's impossible to guard against her. She'll definitely become the new king of supremes of the human race." Disgusting. No one knew that even as Hu Mainyang stared at Qin Hao solemnly and concernedly, she was mercilessly sending a telepathic message. "Pfft. I can't compare to you, Mainyang." While transmitting his voice, Qin Hao turned into a streak of light and took the lead to ascend Broken Peak. He dragged out the two words, Mainyang, completely exaggerating the way Hu Mainyang addressed herself. "Tsang Long, it's all up to you. If you win, we'll give you 10% of the Imperial Chalcedony that the Sky Demons get." "I'll win. Tsang Long. Tsang Long. Tsang Long." The cultivators of the Sky Demons were madly chanting Tsang Long's name at that moment. He was only the 10th-ranked elite of the Sky Demons, but at that moment, he carried all the hopes of the Sky Demons, and became the center of attention. Tsang Long's blood boiled as he listened to the mountainous and oceanic cheers. "I, Tsang Long, must win. No matter the cost, as long as I win, I'll be the hero who turns the universe around, the pride of the Sky Demons. My prestige and fortune will definitely rise by leaps and bounds." Tsang Long tightly gripped the sword in his hand. With a rumbling sound, he rushed towards Broken Peak while shouting crazily. At first, the human cultivators looked at each other in bewilderment. They didn't even know Qin Hao's name. How could they cheer for him? However, in order not to appear weak, someone took the initiative to shout the word human, which then spread to the entire human race. A person who was ranked 10th in the Sky Devil race, a person whose name was not even exposed to the human race, had actually become the focus of attention and the most important battle between the Sky Devil race and the human race. This was truly unexpected. At this final juncture, neither of them spoke any nonsense and directly attacked. Driven by his determination to win, Tsang Long unleashed combat strength that exceeded his limits. Qin Hao, whose aura was not weak, was similarly frenzied and fought with his life on the line. The duo alternately encountered fatal threats time and time again, causing every Sky Demon and human cultivator to break out in cold sweat for their own people. It could be said to be extremely hair-raising, and even Hu Mainyang and the others who knew the situation were no exception. After all, Qin Hao was definitely not faking it. Instead, he had truly suppressed his power to the same level as his opponent, and had completely abandoned all-powerful ultimate techniques to contend with his opponent with relatively ordinary combat techniques. Selflessness, new self, watching Qin Hao's battle, Hu Meinyang thought of a realm that was inevitable in enlightenment. Selflessness did not mean forgetting oneself, but temporarily forgetting all the divine abilities, ultimate techniques, and powers that one wanted to get rid of. New self, on the other hand, was to turn the desired self into one and only for the time being. Unless he left the state of selflessness, that was Qin Hao's current ability. Each is crazier than the last. Still, that's probably the only way he could suppress his essence, qi, and spirit. Hu Meinyang muttered to herself. She was well aware that Qin Hao had already reached the pinnacle of earthly immortal medium stage, and if he was not careful, his essence, qi, and spirit could trigger divine punishment. For Qin Hao, who wanted to hide his strength, it was indeed very dangerous. They're evenly matched, and it's hard to tell who's stronger. It's really hard to tell who's going to win. Many elites thought to themselves. Senior brother is still the best. If I could enter the state of selflessness, I would definitely be able to fight to my heart's content, damn it. Coiling Dragon, who was well aware of Qin Hao's situation, could naturally guess what was going on with Qin Hao's state, and his heart was filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. The evenly matched and soul-stirring duel lasted for a full hour before reaching a dull conclusion. The reason why it was dull was because it was in the middle of a soul-stirring climax. Zhang Long was dead, and Qin Hao had won. The human race has advanced. The words "the human race has advanced" from Chu Feiyang of the Tyrants resounded like thunder in the mind of Ming Yuan, the leader of the Sky Fiend clan. His face was frighteningly pale, and his teeth were clenched, but he could only swallow them into his stomach. Amidst a sea of cheers, Hu Meinyang brought the heavily injured and almost exhausted Qin Hao back. What made people envious and jealous, but what they took for granted was that Hu Meinyang actually personally healed Qin Hao, and her slender jade-like hand went straight to Qin Hao's back. There's something going on. Damn it, I'm much more seriously injured than senior brother, but I didn't receive such treatment. This woman's treatment of senior brother, and senior brother's treatment of this woman is both abnormal. She's just SOSO for senior brother. Coiling Dragon muttered to himself. Chen Shui, on the other hand, glanced sideways and raised her chin. Damn it, I said no. Don't forget, you're mine now. I like the state of selflessness very much. No one knew that the healing was just on the surface. Hu Meinyang wanted to take the opportunity to feel Qin Hao's state. And Qin Hao could not stop her. During this period, the two had already agreed to share their insights. It's our turn. Chu Feiyang of the Tyrants smiled slightly, and his faint voice suddenly traveled into everyone's ears. Dark Demon Clan, do you admit defeat, or do you want to fight? If you want to fight, there's no need to waste time on the arrangements. Our tyrants will start from the 10th place, and the battle should end when we reach the 5th place. Whoosh, Chu Feiyang's words directly caused an uproar among the cultivators of all races. Crazy. He clearly told them the order of appearance, and said that the battle would end when they reached the 5th place. That meant that no matter how the Dark Demon Clan arranged, they only needed the weakest 6 people to win 6 rounds. You're going too far. It's true that your tyrants are strong, but my Dark Demon Clan can't win 1 round? I'd like to see how your 10th place can beat me. Boom. The leader of the Dark Demon Clan angrily rushed toward Broken Peak. Seeing this scene, Chu Feiyang's mouth curved slightly, revealing a look of looking at an idiot. He casually pointed at a cultivator of the tyrants and said, Brother Wei, you go. What? Everyone's expression froze. Isn't this too sinister? Everyone's gaze towards Chu Feiyang changed. Chapter 8:13. Although the tyrants had also concealed their aura and changed their appearance, and the news that was spread back then was definitely not completely true, the difference wouldn't be too big. Among the top 10 experts, the only one with the surname Wei was Wei Liang, who was ranked 4th. Wei Liang had a glorious battle record and was extremely famous in the primal secret realm. Many cultivators knew about his terrifying battles. The arrogant Chu Feiyang clearly said that he would start from the 10th place, but after provoking the somewhat brainless leader of the dark demon race, he did not hesitate to send out the 4th master. It was really a little too sinister and cunning. Chu Feiyang, you are the leader of the tyrants. What do you mean by this? The leader of the dark demon race almost vomited blood. All is fair in war. When two armies fight, do you think I, Chu Feiyang, still have to reason with you? Ridiculous. Chu Feiyang said disdainfully. Fine, fine, fine. Wei Liang, so what if you are the 4th master? Come on. Let me see how strong the tyrants are. Boom. The leader of the dark demon race was furious and directly flipped out. Unfortunately, the leader of the dark demon race, who was the weakest and relatively average in strength, lost to the powerful Wei Liang even after giving it his all. The following battles were also without any suspense. Although Chu Feiyang did not fight according to the order he said, he did indeed finish 6 battles and eliminated the dark demon race from the competition. Then, it was the insect race against the goblin race. In these 2 battles, the insect race showed no less than the tyrants, and even more terrifying and bloody. All kinds of insect races' magical powers really made one's scalp tingle. They won 6 o'clock. Then, the divine race against the phantom race fully demonstrated the absolute power and fierceness of the divine race. They also won 6 o'clock. The strength displayed by the 3 strongest galaxies shocked the practitioners from the other galaxies. Even Chen Hao, Hu Mainyang, Coiling Dragon, and the others felt immense pressure. It would not be easy to obtain the final victory and obtain the 1st place. In fact, it would be impossible to accomplish. The tyrants, the insect race, the divine race, the 2 or 3 strongest people in each race did not even fight. They are too strong. Yes, I'm afraid our human race will stop at the 5th place. No matter which of the winged race or the elf race wins, we can only fight one of the 2 at most, but the chances of winning are almost 0. There's no other way. The advantage of the human race lies in the higher realms. For the human race to have such results in the heavenly immortal realm is already considered very good. It's a pity that Slaughter God Chen Hao and the other proud heaven members didn't come. If they did, we'd definitely be in 4th place. Maybe we'd even have a shot at the top 3, don't mention them. This is an important matter that concerns the glory of the human race, yet they are cowards. They dropped the ball at a critical moment. This is too disappointing. Fortunately, we have Hu Mainyang to back them up. Even now, the human cultivators were still talking about Slaughter God Chen Hao and the other members of Proud Heaven. Many of them were criticizing them. Although they did not even have the right to participate, they had the right to criticize. After all, as a member of the human race, the greater the power, the greater the responsibility. This was a major event related to the glory of the human race. It was absolutely inexcusable that God of Slaughter Chen Hao and the others did not appear. In the end, it would definitely be a very intense battle. The elf race and the winged race finally began. Both sides were birdmen with wings. The elves' wings were colorful and translucent. Both men and women had pointed ears and were handsome. Their robes were decorated with extremely luxurious and beautiful decorations. There was not a speck of dust on them. Every one of them looked noble and elegant. On the other hand, the winged race had dark black wings. They had sharp hooked noses and looked ferocious, like half-beastmen. The battle between the 2 races allowed the cultivators to see the astonishing speed changes and the elf race's terrifying use of the power of nature. In the end, the elf race won with a score of 6-4, which was the same as the human race. After all the elimination rounds were over, Chu Feiyang of the Tyrants, Morichis of the insect race, Nia Fan of the god race, Hu Mainyang of the human race, and the leader of the elf race, Shi Yage, discussed the rules and procedures of the top 5 ranking competition. After reaching an agreement, they temporarily stopped and led their respective armies back to their encampments. All of you, come to Mainyang's temporary palace. When they returned to the human race's encampment, Qin Hao, the Proud Heavens members, Bei Li Ningbing, and the other 9 people who were previously determined were summoned by Hu Mainyang to the temporary palace that she condensed with her divine power. Mainyang will first explain the process and rules of the competition to you. The time is set to officially start 3 days later. There will only be 2 battles per day. 1 galaxy will have a bye. For the time being, the first battle on the first day will be between us and the elf race. The second battle will be between the tyrants and the Protoss. The insect race will have a bye. This is based on our previous ranking in the speed competition. The elf race has made it clear that they will only fight 1 battle with us. What about us? Hearing Hu Mainyang's words, everyone was not surprised by the elf race's decision and asked. Other than Qin Hao and the others generally thought that Hu Mainyang's decision was the same as the leader of the elf race. After all, the tyrants, the insect race, and the Protoss were too strong. In their opinion, the human race could not compete with them at all. Moreover, it was said before that the human race was basically a battle. If they entered the top 5, they just had to admit that they were in the top 5. If they were eliminated, they naturally could not fight again. However, today, the human race's performance was not much weaker than the elf race's. Perhaps they still had a glimmer of hope to win the 4th place. Mainyang wants to communicate with their experts. Naturally, it will not be the same as the elf race. Hu Mainyang smiled slightly, and a fierce fighting spirit bloomed in her eyes. Even if we can't enter the top 3, Mainyang wants to let them know that the strongest combat power of the human race is stronger than them. Good. Miss Hu should do that. Yes, with Miss Hu's cultivation, you can definitely compete with Chu Feiyang, Morris, and Nye Fan. Although the human race will lose, as long as Miss Hu can win 1 battle, it will also raise the prestige of the human race. Yes, so Mainyang now needs to confirm who will fight. Mainyang thinks that those who win today's competition have the ability to fight. At least, if you don't meet the top few, you still have the ability to admit defeat. This is much better than admitting defeat directly. After all, this is for the glory of the human race. If everyone except Mainyang admits defeat directly, it will be a little embarrassing. What do you think? That's how it should be. That's good. We already have 6 people now, and we need 4 more. They must be the strongest among you who are good at speed. Let's try to take down the elf race first. Me. I'm a little fast. A girl's voice stood up and said first. Her appearance and figure were ordinary, but the aura that suddenly bloomed was indeed very strong. And the moment she spoke, her whole person flashed like a ghost in the spacious hall, showing a very strong ability to control her speed. Chapter 8:14. I should be able to do it too. Another girl's voice sounded. Count me in. I want to go too. Chi. Suddenly, another 3 people released their own auras, causing the other cultivators present to widen their eyes in shock. These 4 people had obviously signed up later, but they had kept their identities a secret until now. How could they be so strong? What surprised them even more was that other than a man, there were 3 women. One had to know that in the cultivation world, no matter which galaxy it was, the ratio of experts had always been male and female, and the gap was very big. But now, 3 young girls with powerful auras had suddenly appeared. Very good. Hu Mainyang smiled slightly and said, you should all be disciples of the hidden sex of our human race, right? Don't worry, if you don't want to say more, Mainyang won't ask more. The battle with the elf race in 3 days has been decided for the time being. Does anyone have any objections? The 3 young ladies and this brother are very strong. We admit that we are inferior, so of course we have no objections. Yes, this is really unexpected. 4th, our hopes are greater, the others said one after another. Good. Everyone, please don't spread it out for the time being. Wait for us to amaze the world and take 4th place. Don't worry, Miss Hu. Aren't you doing something unnecessary? After the crowd dispersed, a breeze blew past Hu Mainyang's palace again. Chen Hao's figure appeared and stared at Hu Mainyang. As the leader of the human race, do you think it's justifiable if you don't gather them at this time? It's understandable if you don't tell others. Those who dare to come out are all people who are willing to sacrifice for the human race. It's only right to reveal a little to them. Taking care of everything and winning people's hearts. I'm really convinced. I'm the saintess of the Misty Rain House. This is my duty. How strong are the four of them? Since I've asked them to come out, it's naturally foolproof. We can win 6 matches even if we randomly arrange the generals of the Ministry of War. If nothing unexpected happens, we'll deliberately lose 2 rounds, Chen Hao said. The 4 people were the sisters, Xia Yuyu, and Du Jing. Including Chen Hao, Pan Long, and Chen Shui, Ao Tian had sent out 7 people. With the addition of Hu Mainyang, there was no doubt that they would win the competition. Logically speaking, there was no need for Proud Heaven to mobilize so many people against the elves who were much weaker than the 3 most powerful planetary systems. However, today's battle against the sky demons made Hu Mainyang and Chen Hao realize that the perfect number of people was not good for hiding their strength. If there were a few more people, it would be much easier to arrange. Regardless of whether they went up first or later, the weaker side would win. After the victory was secured, they could even admit defeat when facing the stronger side. That would be much easier. As for Helian Wuzi, Tan Tai Lian, and Chen Ling, these 3 characteristics were very obvious. Naturally, they would only appear when the 3 galaxies clashed. Are you really planning to activate your heavenly punishment after this duel? I need to fight, so I naturally have to wait until the battle is over. Or in battle. Why? Do you have any ideas? Of course I have my own ideas. With your current realm and combat strength, it is not a problem for you to win a battle. But if you want to fight against Chu Feiyang, Morichis, Nia Fan, and Lu Qianye, and other powerful people, you will not be able to suppress your aura. Unless you release all your aura, but that will trigger the heavenly punishment. When that time comes, how can I comprehend it beside you? That's not because of me. For the glory of the human race, I can't sacrifice myself to help you, can I? Don't forget that the runes of my physical body will only evolve under the heavenly punishment. Don't you want to comprehend something stronger? Don't you just need to fight? I'll satisfy you, and I guarantee that I'll trample you to death. Fuck. 3 days. Use your miniature aircraft, leave this place, and go through the heavenly punishment quietly. That's enough. Hu Mainyang glared at Chen Hao and said aggressively. Damn it, you know quite a lot. Alright, then come with me. I'd like to see who will trample who. Hiss. Chen Hao and Hu Mainyang immediately disappeared from the palace. At the elven encampment. While Chen Hao and Hu Mainyang were quietly leaving the human race's encampment, the elf race's leader, Siege, and more than 30 elf race experts were still fiercely discussing the human race's situation. From Bai Tian to Chen Hao, they were discussing the strengths, weaknesses, and how to fight against any human race member that appeared today. The reason why the humans were able to defeat the Sky Devil race was not only due to Hu Mainyang's strategic arrangements, which allowed the top experts of the Sky Devil race to be wasted on the weakest cultivators of the human race. The humans were indeed much stronger than the rumors said. Otherwise, they would not have been able to obtain the final victory. That left the elves with no choice but to take it seriously. This was their final showdown, and they would be 4th if they won, 5th if they lost. They had already given up on the chance to fight the 3 most powerful galaxies. Although the human race did not directly say that they had given up, Hu Mainyang had made it clear that she wanted to fight the elites of the 3 races. In their view, the human race had no hope of competing against the 3 most powerful galaxies. Therefore, they had no qualms about sending their strongest forces to fight with all they had. Bai Tian's strength isn't bad, but he's not strong. However, he's calm, determined, and has rich battle experience. Most importantly, he can combine the space and lightning mysteries, which poses a great threat to our elf clan's innate speed. We must have an absolute advantage in speed and power if we want to beat him, or it would be a tough fight and a battle of attrition. Can, you'll be the one to deal with him. Are you confident? Brother Siege, it's not a problem as long as it's arranged for me to fight him. I'm confident that I can suppress him in every aspect, be it in speed, attack, or defense. Even if it's a battle of attrition, I'll win in the end. Can, the 5th-ranked elite of the elves, said confidently. He had clearly seen by Tion's fight against the Sky Demon elites, and the power he had displayed was by Tion's strongest. He was completely confident that he could win. We can only do our best. I've already locked onto the origin aura of anyone they've exposed, and I believe they won't hide anything. As long as he steps out first, you'll naturally be the one to fight him. It all depends on the arrangements made on the spot, and we can only do our best when the time comes. If there's no other way, we'll arrange for you to fight him first and what kind of opponent you meet. That'll depend on luck. There's no way to play tactics or combat skills against that ferocious fellow. We can only suppress him with absolute power and defeat him in a head-on clash. Should I do it? The 2nd-ranked elite of the elves volunteered. Chapter 8:15. Bailey Ning Bing, I'll do it. Gao Lan, count me in. Leave the last guy to me, the 3rd, 4th, and 6th elites of the elf race said one after another. All right. I'll adjust when the time comes. After all, it's not up to us to decide who's going up against whom. We can only do this for now. Everyone has analyzed the situation very thoroughly. No matter what the humans do, our chances of winning are higher than theirs. The only thing I'm worried about is that the humans have hidden elites who haven't appeared yet. So, everyone, use these 3 days to adjust yourselves to peak condition. We must win. Yes. The elf race was a race that loved nature. Under normal circumstances, they stood aloof from worldly affairs. Among the top 10 galaxies, they were the only one that had the least conflicts with the other major races. However, when it came to a battle that involved the honor of the elf race, the proud elves would never back down. The same thing was happening in the Tyrants and Protoss bases. They decided on the lineup list, analyzed the situation of the opposing cultivators, and tentatively decided on who to choose as their opponent. Even the Zergs, who had a bye on the first day, were not idle. The top 5 ranking competition was a round-robin competition. No matter what, any 2 galaxies would have to fight each other. It was just a matter of order. Compared to true strength, all tactical arrangements were secondary. Going up early was nothing more than exposing a little of their strength. As long as they were strong enough, so what if they were exposed completely? So, although the Zergs had a bye, they still had to treat it seriously. Relatively speaking, the humans were the most casual. Hu Mainyang only said a few words, and after confirming the candidates, they went their separate ways. It was not that Hu Mainyang did not take it seriously, but the situation of the Proud Heavens members was special. She seemed to be the leader, but among the participants, other than Gao Lan and Bailey Ning Bing, who would treat her as the leader. This was one of the reasons. Secondly, Hu Mainyang trusted Chen Hao and the Proud Heavens members. She believed that Chen Hao knew what to do, and she did not have to interfere. She knew very well that the hatred of the Proud Heavens members for her could not be eliminated in a short time. Hiss. In the void, a stream of light that completely concealed its aura, so that even heavenly immortal elites could not detect it, shuttled back and forth at a terrifying speed. Your aircraft has developed intelligence. Although Hu Mainyang was certain that Chen Hao and the other members of Proud Heaven all had their own miniature aircraft, she was still shocked when she actually stepped into Chen Hao's aircraft. Small Wisdom No. 1's voice was full of emotions. If it wasn't an artifact spirit with intelligence, then what was it? It wouldn't be strange if it was a powerful legacy artifact, but this was an aircraft. Under normal circumstances, there were very few artifact spirits in aircraft, let alone artifact spirits with sentience. They were all controlled by humans. However, Chen Hao's aircraft completely followed Chen Hao's orders. It automatically analyzed and operated. What Chen Hao needed to do was to provide sufficient energy. Rouge Horse, my name is Xiaoji. Chen Hao did not pay attention to Hu Meinyang, but Little Wisdom number 1 imitated a realistic light and shadow energy body. It raised its small face and stared at Hu Meinyang, who was half a body taller than it. You, what did you call me? Hu Meinyang's eyes widened as she stared at the image that suddenly appeared. She was angry and shocked. Angry was, of course, what Xiaoji called her. Needless to say, Chen Hao was deliberately teasing her. What surprised her was that the energy and the way this little brat was formed was completely beyond her understanding. It was not formed by the energy of spiritual sense or spiritual sense. But it did have intelligence. This was a little too strange. Crash, Rouge Horse, Hu Meinyang. Beep, beep, beep. In an instant, a curtain of light enveloped the entire aircraft, with Hu Meinyang at the center. If not for the fact that Hu Meinyang did not feel any danger, she would have attacked directly. But immediately, the voice of Xiaoji number 1, as well as the image characters, data, and other complicated deduction symbols that appeared out of thin air in front of her eyes, made Hu Meinyang's attractive cherry lips form an O shape. Chen Hao, you bastard, what are you doing? Do you think I won't destroy it? Ha, you also have moments of fear. Damn, you're really strong. Don't be afraid, I can't eat you. I'm just analyzing your data. Boom. Stop immediately, or I'll attack directly. Although Hu Meinyang did not understand what Chen Hao was doing to her with this strange aircraft that was completely beyond her understanding, she knew that it was not something good. Therefore, she violently summoned her energy, and the Tao laws around her surged as she warned him. Master, Rouge Horse is really unruly. Its energy is beyond what Xiaoji can bear. Please give me instructions. Take it, this is a crazy woman. We can't lower ourselves to her level, yes. Hu Meinyang took a deep breath, then another, and another. Only then did she calm down the impulse to immediately ravage Chen Hao. But her face was still flushed with anger, and her chest heaved. No matter when, she had always been firmly on top of Chen Hao, but for the first time, she completely lost control. It was not that Chen Hao was stronger than her, but that the miniature aircraft had shocked her so much that she had lost her composure. This also gave her a deeper understanding of Chen Hao. She even suspected that when she had forced Chen Hao to be captured and dual cultivated with him for decades, Chen Hao had done it on purpose. Although she did not want to admit it, this feeling made her feel a little frustrated. However, she did not know that Chen Hao did not have his aircraft with him at that time, and that bastard old god had deliberately dropped the ball. Ha 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 ha, seeing Hu Meinyang like this, Chen Hao was in a good mood. You'll cry. Humph. Wait and see how I deal with you later. Hu Meinyang said angrily. I'll wait and see. Humph. Tell me, who the hell are you? This aircraft has never appeared in the 10 major galaxies, let alone the vast universe galaxy. Almost every member of Proud Heaven has one, right? Don't tell me you're just a native of a barren planet like the Boundless Planet. Why should I tell you? You don't have to tell me. I don't mind telling the world what I saw today, and let the knowledgeable people analyze it. After stepping out of the primitive secret realm, perhaps the leaders of the major galaxies will be very curious. Hu Meinyang stared fiercely at Chen Hao, puffed out her chest, and said in a threatening manner. Fuck. Chen Hao's smug expression suddenly turned red. Damn it, will a woman like you die if you don't be vicious? If Hu Meinyang really told the world this news, even if Chen Hao was the supreme of Hongmeng, he would still become the prey in the eyes of countless powerful people. Is this your first day knowing me? I've always been like this. Hu Meinyang did not care at all. Don't think that I'm just trying to scare you. Our friendship has not reached that stage yet. Chapter 8:16. Chen Hao, who was about to say something, almost vomited blood when he heard Hu Mainyang's last sentence. Regardless of whether it was true or not, Hu Mainyang's words hit the nail on the head and hit Chen Hao right where it hurt. From Chen Hao's point of view, although the two of them had known each other from the very beginning and had been fighting each other to the point where they were now using each other to their advantage, they still knew each other well. Otherwise, Chen Hao would not have brought Hu Mainyang into his aircraft. Even if he did, he would not have exposed the ability of Xiaozhi No. 1. But he did not expect that the curious Hu Mainyang would threaten him with this. If I had known, I would not have brought you in. Next time, remember not to trust me so much. I can't bear it. Speak. Hu Mainyang raised her chin. Mainyang. Unable to restrain his anger, Chen Hao stared at Hu Mainyang for a full 2 minutes before he suddenly shook his head. His expression changed, and he said in a very gentle voice, "Actually, ever since Hu Mainyang frowned slightly, but then the corners of her mouth curled up. She interrupted Chen Hao and said, "You know how to discuss people. Chen Hao, the god of killing. You don't live up to your name. Should I say that since the first time I saw you, you fell in love with me and couldn't help yourself? Wait a minute, Yun. I'm sorry, your tricks might work on a naive, retarded, little girl, but they don't work on me." Hu Mainyang's expression and words were normal. But after she finished speaking, she suddenly thought of something and her heart skipped a beat. He obviously had this crazy aircraft, but he deliberately didn't run away. Could it be? Even if it's true, I can't admit defeat. Besides, he's obviously teasing me now. Damn it. Chen Hao cursed under his breath. His expression returned to normal and he said, "If you want to know, you can be my soul slave or my woman. Which one do you choose? I welcome the first one very much, but the second one, I'll reluctantly accept." Bah! Why should I agree to your conditions? Then do as you wish. You want to know? No way. So what if I announce it to the world? Do you really think I'm afraid? Ha ha ha. You've already told me. Don't worry, I'll keep your secret. Are you crazy? You are the one who is sick. I was just trying to trick you, but your reaction was so intense. Obviously, you are not a native of planet Wuji but from another space civilization. Am I right? Hu Mainyang's expression changed faster than flipping the pages of a book. At this moment, she was smiling sweetly as she looked at Chen Hao proudly. Chen Hao was speechless. 200 years had passed, but Chen Hao was still being played by Hu Mainyang. It was not that Chen Hao was weak in this aspect, but compared to Hu Mainyang, this woman's control of his character was a whole street behind. Otherwise, she would not have been able to grasp the rhythm of his pulse time and time again. She did not let Chen Hao's dislike of her exceed the limit, nor let Chen Hao despise her existence. Chi. 4 hours later, the distance between the aircraft and the Emperor Chalcedony area had reached a barren area that peak heavenly immortal experts could not reach in 2 days. Chen Hao and Hu Mainyang stepped out of the aircraft. Are you ready? I won't show you any mercy. Thousands of feet away, Tao laws surged around Hu Mainyang's body. It was as if a banished immortal had descended. Her graceful and exquisite body was suffused with rays of 7-colored light. Her long skirt and beautiful hair fluttered in the wind. Bring it on. Boom. Chi. Chen Hao also released an extremely powerful aura. His black hair danced wildly, and a surging power surged out like a mountain and a sea. At this moment, his essence, chi, and spirit were completely raised to the limit of not triggering the heavenly punishment, which was the limit of what he could use. If he used a little more, the heavenly punishment would be triggered. The fierce and wild physical body and the pure, condensed, and majestic aura of slaughter were like the arrival of the god of death. The power of a mid-stage heavenly immortal is already so strong. Hu Mainyang's eyes narrowed slightly. If you had advanced to the late-stage heavenly immortal realm, you might be able to contend with me at the peak of the late-stage heavenly immortal realm. But now, You're still not strong enough. Come on, let me see how strong you are. Chi. As Hu Mainyang spoke, her slender jade-like hands suddenly flashed with a series of afterimages. At an extremely terrifying speed, they condensed into a series of superimposed runes that cut through the void and enveloped Qinhao. At this moment, endless Tao laws surged between heaven and earth, instantly sucking the energy of heaven and earth within a radius of tens of thousands of miles and fusing it into her hand seal. A terrifying air explosion and heaven and earth shook violently and violently spread out. It made Qinhao feel as if he had fallen into a bottomless quagmire. His body stiffened. Break. Chi. The fist radiance was like a dazzling star as it whistled out. At the same time, Qinhao's figure suddenly flashed and tore apart Hu Mainyang's terrifying energy pressure like a gust of wind breaking through the waves. Rumble, the hand seal and fist shadows collided, and the sound was like thunder from the ninth heaven resounding through the void. The first collision had caused the mountains and the earth to shake. Not to mention the ordinary cultivators in the primitive secret realm, even experts like Chu Feiyang, Morris, and Nia Fan would be surprised if they saw this. This was definitely a peak confrontation. After Qinhao and Hu Mainyang's first collision, their figures did not retreat but instead advanced. One was more violent than the other, and the palm shadows and fist shadows filled the sky. Within a radius of thousands of miles, there was a continuous sound of explosions. Wherever the two of them passed, the surrounding mountains collapsed one after another, and it was a scene of devastation. This little power is not enough. Don't hide it. Today, I will beat you until your skin is split open and your flesh is torn apart, and your bud is blooming. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In an instant, the 7 ancient sacred swords abruptly appeared on both sides of Qinhao's body, above his head, and below his feet, forming the 7 stars sword formation. Thump! With a light shout, Qinhao's fist turned into the 7 stars sword finger and pointed out in the air. Chi 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 chi, 7 or 8 ancient divine swords instantly tore through the void and maintained a fixed formation as they shot towards Hu Mainyang. What made Hu Mainyang slightly surprised was that Qinhao's sword formation, which contained mysterious runes, was already terrifying enough. However, it actually contains several types of sword chi. Massacre sword chi as the tip: if gods block it, kill gods; if demons block it, slay demons. Immortal sword chi as the handle: immortal, indestructible, indestructible. Ethereal sword chi as the form, instantly changing thousands of times, leaving no trace. Destructive sword chi as the will: wherever the will reached, everything would collapse. Mountains and rivers sword chi as the foundation: beautiful mountains and rivers, only I am. Soft sword chi as the shield, airtight and invulnerable. Heartless sword chi as the heart, severing the heavens and earth, severing emotions only to kill. 7 sword daos, 7 treasured swords, connected by the 7 stars sword formation. Even though Qinhao still hadn't completely merged them into one, and there were still various loopholes and flaws in the 7 swords and 7 daos, it was still one of the stronger ultimate moves in his 200 years of comprehension. What a madman! Hu Mainyang was shocked. Even with her peerless talent, she had never tried such an abnormal combination. How was it possible to merge 7 types of sword paths into one? Chapter 8:17. However, Qinhao had managed to do it. Although it was far-fetched and bluntly superimposed together, he had indeed done it. Although Hu Mainyang did not know the secular sword principle, she knew that this was equivalent to integrating 7 emotions into the secular heart sutra at the same time. No matter what, she could not do it, nor was she willing to try it now. Even if she wanted to try it, she would have to cultivate the secular heart sutra to the highest level and reach the supreme realm of Hongmeng. It seems that you've gone crazy from wanting to ravage me. You forced me to do this. 10. Buzz. As the word 10,000 left her mouth, the surging Tao law around Hu Mainyang instantly bloomed with an incomparably bright light, like the scorching sun in the sky. At the same time, she retreated rapidly, making Chen Hao's 7-star sword temporarily unable to touch her to buy herself some time. Dao. As the word Dao left her mouth, the Dao law around Hu Meinyang began to spin wildly. At this moment, the endless Dao law between heaven and earth seemed to materialize and converged on Hu Meinyang's body at an astonishing speed. The moment the word Dao ended, Hu Meinyang's figure had completely disappeared. Her entire body was like a scorching sun condensed from Dao law. An ordinary person would be blinded by a single glance. Kill. As the word kill left her mouth, the scorching sun suddenly exploded like spring thunder. Rumble. Rumble, the 10,000 Dao kill and the 7-star sword collided, shattering mountains and rivers and collapsing heaven and earth. Puff. Chen Hao spat out blood and flew backward. Hu Meinyang felt a sweetness in her throat and forcibly controlled her blood essence, but her qi and blood were churning and her meridians were cracking. Fuck. Humph. With 2 bangs, the two fell to the ground. Chen Hao spat out blood and cursed angrily, while Hu Meinyang snorted coldly. You're courting death. If I hadn't held back a bit of my strength, you would have been destroyed by now. Hu Meinyang could not help but say angrily. You think you're in the right to break my ultimate technique with absolute strength? You call that a battle to my heart's content? Damn it. Chen Hao felt his meridians cracking inch by inch and was so angry that his teeth itched. You used this kind of ultimate technique that only a madman would practice, and you're blaming me? You're biting off more than you can chew. You're simply pulling up seedlings to help them grow and forcefully defy the heavens. Don't be a frog in a well. Since I've done it, I naturally have the ability to control it. Qi. As Chen Hao spoke, he directly took out several spiritual herbs that emitted an astonishing aura and swallowed them. The vast and majestic chant of the primary outline of the great Tao rang out in his mind. Hu Meinyang frowned, not daring to fall behind. She also took out a saint-grade spirit herb to heal her injuries. She knew very well what this shameless guy Chen Hao wanted to do. She had a connate embryo of Tao, so her recovery speed was quite fast. However, she knew that Chen Hao's physical body was no weaker than her connate embryo of Tao. Once he recovered, Hu Meinyang was certain that he would strike first to gain the upper hand and take the opportunity to deal with her. Fortunately, she had used 90% of her strength to suppress Chen Hao, so her injuries were not as serious as Chen Hao's. More than 10 minutes later, Chen Hao and Hu Meinyang got up at almost the same time and started fighting again. But this time, Chen Hao did not use his ultimate technique directly. He truly relied on his strength and battle techniques to fight with Hu Meinyang. The battle went on wildly. Hu Meinyang's connate embryo of Tao and the powerful ability of myriad Tao resonance, coupled with the fact that she had suppressed her strength to fight with Chen Hao, made her recovery speed not slower than Chen Hao's. But even so, after fighting with Chen Hao for real, Hu Meinyang was still shocked by how monstrous Chen Hao was. She could feel that it was not difficult for her to defeat Chen Hao if she used her full strength, but it was impossible for her to kill him. Once Chen Hao broke through to Tian Fa, even defeating Chen Hao would be difficult. After a day and a night, Chen Hao's essence, qi, and spirit suddenly soared into the sky. Tian Fa had finally been activated. At this moment, Chen Hao's entire body was covered in injuries. His nose was bruised and his face was swollen. The peerlessly beautiful Hu Meinyang wasn't much better off than Chen Hao. Her bright and clean jade-like face was also covered in blood. She looked like she was gnashing her teeth. Obviously, after a day and night of trembling and suppressing her strength, she did not have any advantage at all. The bloody footprints and palm prints on her but were the best proof. Are you coming or not? It's about to start. Don't say that I didn't give you a chance. Humph. Why won't I come? Qi. Although Hu Meinyang was gnashing her teeth in anger at Chen Hao's shameless fighting style and exquisite battle techniques, she had no choice but to come to Chen Hao's side at this time. Pa 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 pa. For palms connected, their minds connected. Chen Hao's small realm sky punishment came crashing down after the two entered the state of thoughtless tranquility. A terrifying tremor spread out, but it could not be compared to the great Tian Fa. Moreover, the place they were in was an endless barren land, far away from the Emperor Jade Essence area. There was no need to worry about being discovered. After the Tian Fa ended, the two were still immersed in the dual cultivation state. It was only 6 hours before the battle that Hu Mainyang let out a cold snort and ended the state. Chen Hao woke up and glared at Hu Mainyang with disdain. Both of them did not like each other, so of course, they were not convinced. However, they still stepped into Small Wisdom 1 and hurried back to the human camp. There's no time, otherwise there's plenty of time after the battle. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Humph. Come here. Chen Hao did not waste any more words. What? It's a waste not to use it. 6 hours is still time. You're mine now, help me stabilize my realm. If you want it, say something nice to me. It's just an exchange. You still belong to me. The two and the flying device were at loggerheads, not giving in to each other. It was impossible for Chen Hao to take advantage of her. However, just as Hu Mainyang said, their souls were connected, and their minds were as one. They were indeed using each other and improving together. Therefore, although they said that, they still took a step forward and entered the state of cultivation in the flying device. It's time. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Under everyone's anticipation, the cultivators from the 5 galaxies flew up into the air and headed towards the central region of the Imperial Chalcedony once more, as their leader's voice traveled tens of thousands of kilometers. At the same time, the 5 major galaxies that had been eliminated did not leave just because they had lost. This was a battle between the top experts of the 10 major galaxies. It was a rare opportunity for any cultivator to learn. At the same time, they could understand each other better. After all, there were still hundreds of years in the primitive secret realm. Conflicts and battles in the future were inevitable. If they missed this opportunity to understand each other's true combat strength, it would be extremely difficult. In the human race, Hu Mainyang, who had been in a mess 2 hours ago, once again bloomed with a peerless demeanor that could cause chaos and bewilderment in the world. If other people saw Hu Mainyang and Chen Hao together, their eyeballs would probably fall to the ground. Chen Hao, Chen Shui, Pan Long, Xia Yuyu, the sisters, Du Jing, Bai Ningbing, and Gao Lan followed closely behind Hu Mainyang, forming the lineup for today's battle. After stepping into the late stage of the Heaven Immortal realm, although his realm had not been stabilized, his combat strength had increased tremendously. As for how much it had increased, even Hu Mainyang, who was dual cultivating with Chen Hao, could not be sure. However, Hu Mainyang was sure that even if he faced the top experts of the 3 strongest galaxies, Chen Hao would not be weak. Whether they could win would depend on how many hidden trump cards they had and how strong they were. However, at this moment, Chen Hao's aura was no different from before the battle. His disguised appearance was still the same as before. Pan Long and the others were the same. What are you looking at? During the flight, Chen Hao, who was staring at Hu Mainyang's back, suddenly heard Chen Shui's voice. Cough, cough. Nothing. Big brother, I was thinking about today's situation and got distracted. What's wrong, little Shui? Chen Hao hurriedly transmitted his voice. He felt embarrassed, and the imperceptible golden light in his eyes disappeared. Didn't you say you couldn't wait to kill her? That's right, little Shui. Big brother was trampling on her with his gaze just now. So you're saying that she accompanied you to spar, but you were trampled on instead, and now you're trying to find balance? That's not true. Although I didn't get the upper hand, it was a tie. How could Big Brother lose out? You don't say what you think. Chen Shui rolled her eyes at Chen Hao and stopped talking. On the other hand, Chen Hao blushed with shame. Chen Shui's words had hit the nail on the head. Hu Mainyang, who had taken the lead and left her back to the others, also had a trace of anger in her eyes at this moment. Although she didn't turn her head, she could sense every movement of Chen Hao and the others. Even their gazes were no exception. Just now, when Chen Hao was staring at her back, she felt extremely strange, as if she had been completely seen through. Wherever Chen Hao's gaze went, that feeling was the most obvious. Even her curvaceous buttocks felt itchy. This was because Chen Hao's gaze was fixed on her buttocks for the most time. He's a hooligan in his bones. Humph. Hu Meinyang secretly said in her heart. Soon after, the corners of her mouth curled into a smug arc. For the time being, Chen Hao could only mentally trample on Hu Meinyang. He didn't expect that just because he despised Hu Meinyang's hypocritical, noble, elegant, and aloof aloofness, he couldn't help but use his fiery eyes of truth to blatantly despise the other party. This actually caused the person involved, Hu Meinyang, and the bystander, Qin Shui, to sense it. If he had known that the two women's senses were so sharp, Chen Hao wouldn't have done this no matter what. The fiery eyes of truth was one of his top secrets. Although it didn't contain any energy and couldn't sense any mysteries, it could allow people with sharp senses and strong intuition to sense abnormalities. That's shining white but seems to be really not bad. Motherfucker, this unruly and difficult to tame rouge horse has actually unknowingly aroused my desire. Chen Hao was suddenly shocked. Today's participants, please come forward. 10 sides gathered, 4 sides took the stage, and 6 sides watched the show. Today, when he was about to face the Protoss, Chu Feiyang of the Tyrants still had a faint smile on his face. He was confident and aloof, as if he didn't care about the upcoming battle at all. This was the confidence brought about by his powerful strength. Chapter 8:18. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Following Chu Feiyang's words, the contestants from the Tyrants, the Protoss, the humans, and the elves immediately rose into the air and arrived at their respective camps around Broken Peak. Hiss hiss hiss. Immediately, divine senses spread out unscrupulously to sense the opponent's aura. The 6 who won against the Heavenly Devil clan are all here. There are 4 new cultivators with average auras. As expected. As long as we perform as usual, we can win this match. The elven race cultivators secretly communicated after sensing the situation of the 10 humans. Their fighting spirit was high. With the experience of the first match, the elves, who were ranked 5th in the speed competition, directly sent a cultivator who had already been chosen to step onto Broken Peak. With the lesson learned from the Sky Demon race, the elves had sent out a cultivator ranked 10th. It would be great if he could win, but it would not matter if he lost. The 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th were all chosen by the elves to take the initiative to let the other party arrange their opponents when they took the field first. They were confident that their overall strength was higher than that of the human race. By taking the initiative to use these weaklings as bait, the human race would send out the strong to fight the weak against the strong. If they sent out the weak, they might lose directly. If they stayed, they would also fight the strong against the strong. No matter how they looked at it, they would not be at a disadvantage. Of course, they would not be able to benefit from it. In this way, they would not fall into a passive situation like the Heavenly Devil clan. Gao Lan, you go. Hu Meinyang directly called out Gao Lan. Among the 10 humans, Gao Lan should be at least the top 6 in the eyes of the elves. Hu Meinyang wanted him to fight the weakest of the elves. Naturally, she wanted to win this match. Only Gao Lan himself and the other contestants of the human race knew that in Hu Meinyang's eyes, he should be the weakest. Although Gao Lan was a little dissatisfied, he would definitely not go against Hu Meinyang. This match, no matter what, I must win. I, Gao Lan, want to prove that I am not worse than them. Boom. Gao Lan turned Hu Meinyang's contempt into a strong motivation. His fighting spirit rose wildly, and he began the battle. Between the two of them, Gao Lan was already a little stronger than his opponent. In addition to his strong fighting spirit to prove himself in front of Hu Meinyang, Gao Lan broke out beyond his limit. In a short 5 minutes, the battle ended. Although he did not kill his opponent, there was no suspense. The human race won the first round. In the second round, it was the human race's turn to go up first. Hu Mainyang immediately sent the fierce coiling dragon up. Coiling dragon's ferocity was far greater than his own strength. He was definitely a headache to deal with. Hu Mainyang's decision to send her out was within expectations. This guy is mine. Chi. The elves had already made arrangements to deal with the 5 human victors apart from Hu Mainyang. With Coiling Dragon's appearance, the elves naturally seized the opportunity to step onto the stage. The second strongest. Hu Mainyang and Chen Hao frowned as soon as the second strongest warrior of the elf clan appeared. Ha ha ha. You really think highly of me. Coiling Dragon laughed excitedly when he saw the other party. Do you admit defeat, or do you want to die? The second most powerful warrior of the elf clan flapped his wings and stared at the coiling dragon in the sky. The rainbow-colored translucent wings flapped lightly, creating mysterious halos of light that exuded an astonishing pressure. Die. But it's you. Boom. Coiling Dragon took a step forward, waved his fists, and rushed forward fiercely. He was very excited. Being able to show his strength in advance was naturally something he could not wish for more. He had been holding back for a long time. It doesn't matter. Even if he reveals a little, he'll only be in the bottom 5 in the 3 major galaxies, Chen Hao said to Hu Mainyang telepathically. The second most powerful warrior of the elf clan would only be 6th or 7th in the Tyrants, Protoss, and Zerg clans. He would be eye-catching, but not too eye-catching. Arrogant. With a flap of his wings, the second most powerful warrior of the elf clan directly raised his strength and speed to the peak. He wanted to use his absolute strength to kill the fierce coiling dragon. However, what? Is this guy crazy? What made countless people widen their eyes was that the second most powerful warrior of the elf clan did not gain any advantage in this exchange of blows. Coiling Dragon, who was also retreating, rushed forward fiercely the moment he regained his footing. He continued to attack with his fists, full of vigor, without holding back. Boom, 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 in an instant, the second most powerful warrior of the elf clan did not have time to be surprised. The two of them were locked in a situation where they exchanged blows. It was cruel, bloody, and without any gorgeous unique skills, there was only the collision of pure strength. 2 minutes later, the second most powerful warrior of the elf clan's shrill scream of horror came to an abrupt end, indicating the result of the match. What a fierce guy. He's completely fighting with his life. When 2 enemies meet on a narrow path, the brave wins. The second most powerful warrior of the elf clan is obviously frightened by this guy. Not to mention exceeding his standard, he didn't even display his basic combat strength, right? Indeed. However, this human guy definitely hid his strength last time. Otherwise, it would be impossible for his combat strength to increase so much in just 3 days. Countless cultivators looked at Coiling Dragon, who was covered in blood but still standing proudly, and discussed in a buzzing voice. Interesting. The human race is scheming something big. Maurice, who was unparalleled in the Zerg clan and had put away his 8 snake heads, stared at Coiling Dragon, then at Hu Mainyang and the others. He smiled and licked his delicate red lips with his fragrant tongue, full of evil charm and bloodthirst. Did you see that? No one knew that Lu Qianye, who had been pushed to the 4th most powerful warrior of the Protoss clan, had a cold, arrogant, and confident voice that sounded in the ears of the 1st to 3rd most powerful warriors of the Protoss clan. They've been here for a long time, is that so? Then who do you think this person is? It must be Coiling Dragon. Although I don't know what method he used to hide the aura of almost all the ancient beasts, I'm sure it's him. I believe that you can also sense the remnant aura of the ancient beasts on his body. Also, his eyes inadvertently revealed a wild look. I can't be wrong. Lu Qianye transmitted his voice with great certainty. Hearing Lu Qianye's words, the 3 most powerful warriors of the Protoss clan pondered for a moment. Before the start of the elimination round, Lu Qianye had said that God of Slaughter Chen Hao and the members of Proud Heaven would definitely appear. Now, Although there were no clues, all the signs were completely within Lu Qianye's expectations. Lu Qianye was so sure because no one knew better than him about God of Slaughter Qin Hao and the members of Proud Heaven. When the Imperial Jade Marrow vein was first discovered, it was because of Proud Heaven's member, Lan Feng. All these years, he had been hunting down Proud Heaven's members. Although he didn't succeed, he knew a lot about them. We actually lost. The elves didn't feel anything when they lost the first round, but the second round, which they had expected to win, was lost. This caused the elves to lose their composure. It's just an accident. It's just one round, we can't lose our composure. You, go. The leader of the elves, Siege, took a deep breath and followed the original plan. The 9th-ranked warrior was the first to ascend Broken Peak. Ning Bing, you go. Hu Mainyang said straightforwardly. Then she transmitted her voice, if you can win, win. If you can't, don't force it. Just admit defeat. Miss Hu. Forget it. Bailey Ning Bing wanted to ask something, but in the end, she held back and didn't speak. Previously, there were 4 new people with powerful auras, and there were 3 women among them. Bailey Ning Bing's doubts about the matter became uncertain once more. And just now, Coiling Dragon showed that he was stronger than last time, which made her even more uncertain. So what if it was real? So what if it was fake? It was fine if it was fake, but if it was real, it was clearly by her side, but they were like strangers. What did it have to do with her? No one could understand this feeling. I will win. Bailey Ning Bing stared at Hu Mainyang and flew into the air. To a certain extent, Hu Mainyang was similar to her, but what Hu Mainyang did was 100 times better than what she did in the past. If I didn't rely on your strength, I could reach where I am today. I could do it in the past, and I can do it in the future. Even if we don't interact for the rest of our lives, I won't let you look down on me. The road is still very, very long. Chi. The immortal sword glow blossomed. Her slender figure, beautiful face, and determined eyes caused Bailey Ning Bing's temperament and aura to undergo a shocking change. Her heart changed, and her state of mind transformed. Like a Buddhist, she naturally entered a subtle state. At this moment, countless cultivators, including the top experts of the 3 galaxies, were slightly surprised. They revealed envious expressions as they stared at the beautiful figure descending from the void. Enlightenment. Bailey Ning Bing actually gained enlightenment at this time. Amazing, as expected of the woman who has an affair with killing god Qin Hao. Her luck is amazing, but it's not the right time. So beautiful, killing god Qin Hao's women are all peerless beauties, and each is stronger than the last. Even Miss Hu's relationship with him is unclear. Really makes people jealous. What nonsense are you talking about? Killing god Qin Hao is just a coward, how can he be worthy of Miss Hu? Cough cough. I'm just saying, what's there to be excited about? Brainless fan. While a few human experts were discussing in low voices, a youth who had disguised his aura glared at them and cursed in his heart, just randomly pull out 2 sisters-in-law and they're not inferior to Hu Mainyang. My boss isn't worthy of her. Damn it, she only knows how to show off and confuse people. She's just a little stronger, barely qualified to be my boss's concubine. Enlightenment? Go to hell. Boom. When the 9th elf expert saw Bailey Ning Bing's appearance, he knew that he only had a 40% chance of winning this battle. But now that Bailey Ning Bing had entered enlightenment, why would he wait? Even though he knew that this was a grave offense, this was the battle stage, and it concerned the honor of the elf race. How could he not seize this opportunity? Stop! The people who were still envious of Bailey Ning Bing suddenly heard 2 shouts. One was the leader of the human race, Hu Mainyang, and the other was one of the top 10 experts of the human race. Chapter 8:19. Stop. Do you think I'll stop just because you tell me to? A sharp glint flashed in the eyes of the 9th strongest elf. Not only did he not slow down, but he also gathered more energy around him and sped up. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If he grasped it, he would incur the wrath of the humans and even the disdain of the alien races from other galaxies. However, for the sake of the elf race's victory, he did not feel the slightest bit of guilt. Epiphany was a state that cultivators could only come across by chance. The more profound and powerful one's cultivation was, the rarer it was to have an epiphany. It could be said that there were very few people who could still have an epiphany after reaching the heavenly immortal realm. Even top figures like Chen Hao and Hu Mainyang had not encountered one in the heavenly immortal realm for hundreds of years. Of course, the higher the cultivation level of the cultivator, the greater the benefits of an epiphany. In the cultivation world, there was an unwritten rule that no one could interrupt a cultivator's epiphany. But now, it was on the dual stage. In addition, he carried the hat of righteousness of the elf race. Although the actions of the elf cultivator would be despised, they could not do anything to him. What a pity! The alien cultivator felt sorry for Bailey Ningbing. Shameless. Despicable. What bullshit peace-loving and nature-loving elf race. You're just shameless people. The human cultivator was filled with righteous indignation. Even Hu Mainyang could only speak out to stop him. She could not do anything. Buzz. No one knew that a pure soul power had imperceptibly penetrated the seal and directly entered between Bailey Ningbing's eyebrows. Undistracted, unmoved by honor or disgrace. Freeze. 8 notes that sounded like the sound of the great Tao directly entered Bailey Ningbing's soul. The word, fix, caused Bailey Ningbing, who had just been enlightened, to return to her tranquility. Abandon the physical body and let me control it. Immediately after, the familiar voice that had appeared in her dreams countless times in the middle of the night once again spoke in the depths of her soul like the voice of the great Tao. It's over. When the human cultivators saw that the elven expert's terrifying divine ability was about to hit Bailey Ningbing, who was completely immersed in enlightenment, they all felt pity. Even Qin Shui, Helian Wuzi, Tan Tai Lian, Xia Yuyu, Long Ting, and the other girls who didn't have any good impression of Bailey Ningbing were no exception. Love and hate, very much love. This woman who had interacted with Chen Hao countless times was clearly about to die, but they didn't feel happy at all. On the contrary, they felt sad and even faintly worried, because just now, other than Hu Mainyang, the one who spoke up to stop the elf clan was Chen Hao in disguise. However, To everyone's surprise, Bailey Ningbing actually turned into a ray of light at that critical moment and flew out of the restriction, heading towards the distant void. Epiphany is something that no one can predict. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You should reason with them. Let Du Jing go. Du Jing, you're up. Kill without mercy. Aside from poison, it doesn't matter if you use all your strength. Almost at the same time, Chen Hao's voice sounded in Hu Mainyang and Du Jing's ears. Hu Mainyang looked at Bailey Ningbing, who was still immersed in enlightenment, and her eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. Du Jing, on the other hand, was slightly taken aback. Immediately, his expression became frighteningly gloomy. He was originally very shrewd and had always been known to be ruthless. In Outyen, he was harmless to humans and animals. Even like Lan Feng, he was bullied by Coiling Dragon. However, that was because Coiling Dragon was his brother. If he really treated him as a harmless citizen, he wouldn't even know how he died. Moreover, after 200 years, he said the same thing when Chen Hao asked him how he was. Even if Coiling Dragon wanted to bully him, he would also be defeated. Boss is angry. As expected of an exclusive property. The rumors are true. Since that's the case, only death awaits. Boundless killing intent filled Du Jing's heart, but his aura didn't change at all. When it came to disguising, Du Jing was much better than Coiling Dragon. The angrier he was, the calmer he was. It was a long story, but it all happened in the blink of an eye. At this moment, Hu Mainyang suddenly soared into the sky, and an extremely terrifying pressure burst out from her body. Endless Tao laws rolled and covered a radius of 10,000 miles. She looked down at the elf tribe cultivators on the broken peak and snorted coldly. You knew Bailey Ningbing had entered the state of enlightenment, yet you still attacked. Do you think I don't exist? Even if you're lucky enough to escape today, you'll definitely die in the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Du Jing looked at Hu Mainyang's figure that was as dazzling as the scorching sun in the sky. Her figure was insufferably arrogant, and when he heard such arrogant words, he was stunned. Hu Mainyang, the saintess of the Misty Rain Pavilion, was a connate Taoist fetus who had been doted on by everyone. She had always been graceful and elegant. Except for when she got angry when she fought with boss Qin Hao for the Tao manifestation immortal fruit, she had never lost her composure. Anyone who came into contact with her knew that her cultivation was unparalleled in the world, but most of them thought of her as a charming and seductive goddess. But now, the goddess was angry. The whole world was silent. No one thought that Hu Mainyang would suddenly fly into a rage and say such strong words. The voice of a powerhouse could intimidate heaven and earth. Even the leader of the elf clan, Shi-Age, did not dare to let out a fart at this moment. The elf clan loves peace, advocates nature, and stands aloof from worldly affairs. That's not entirely true. Miss Hu, you don't have to be angry. This incident happened by accident. No one could have predicted it, so it doesn't count. You can choose another person to fight. At this moment, the #1 powerhouse of the tyrants, Chu Feiyang, also rose slowly into the air and said fair words that made Hu Mainyang and the other human cultivators feel very comfortable. The elf clan was depressed. But they could not refute it. If they had succeeded in killing her, then so be it. Since they had failed, they would be asking for trouble if they argued now. After all, in any situation, not to mention killing, even interrupting a cultivator's enlightenment was despicable. No matter where they went, it was not justifiable. You've disgraced the elf clan. The leader of the elf clan, Shi-Age, glared angrily at the 9th powerhouse who was completely overwhelmed by Hu Mainyang's aura and reprimanded him. Shi-Age was indeed angry. If you wanted to do it, then do it. You did it but did not complete it. You caused trouble for nothing and provoked the anger of a powerful woman like Hu Mainyang. The 9th powerhouse of the elf clan suddenly woke up from his daze. His expression became extremely ugly. Looking at the eyes of Shi-Age and the other powerhouses of the elf clan looking at him, his heart was filled with despair and anger. He had risked universal condemnation for the honor of the elf clan. It was fine if the human and foreign cultivators despised him, but if the elf clan also treated him like this, he could not accept it no matter what. This was no less than being betrayed by everyone. Miss Hu, let me do it. Boom. Du Jing did not wait for Hu Mainyang's order. After hearing the words of Chu Feiyang from the tyrants, he suddenly rose into the air and volunteered. Although he released some of his aura, it was still suppressed to just the right range. Du Jing was very clear that if he exposed too much of his strength at this moment, this scum of the elf clan might directly admit defeat. Then, there would be nothing he could do. Hu Mainyang glanced at Du Jing and frowned slightly. She only hesitated for a moment and waved her hand. Whoosh! Du Jing immediately turned into a stream of light and rushed to the top of Broken Peak. Die, die, die. Even if I die, I will win this battle. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. After seeing Du Jing enter the arena, even though Du Jing had concealed his aura, he knew that the human race was furious and would never send a weakling to fight him. They were just afraid that he would admit defeat. However, he also knew that he had no way out. Whether it was for the honor of the elf clan or to obtain a larger proportion of the Emperor Jade Essence, a failure was a failure. The winner was the king and the loser was the bandit. If he could salvage this battle, there was still a place for him in the elf clan. Otherwise, he would rather die a heroic death. Anger, despair, hatred. All kinds of emotions made him disregard life and death. He completely threw away everything, an endless fighting spirit rose around him. The rainbow wings vibrated with a buzz, and he charged towards Du Jing with his spear. It's just a last-ditch struggle. Du Jing's eyes shone with excitement, and he waved his sword to meet the attack. In the past, his edges had been worn down by Qin Hao, his perverted boss, Coiling Dragon, and the others. However, the viciousness in his bones had never disappeared. At this moment, with Qin Hao's verbal order, Du Jing let out his viciousness without any scruples. He was like an unsheathed sword, showing its sharpness. One move. He only wanted one move, not giving his opponent any chance to admit defeat. Essence, Qi, Spirit, True Yuan, Divine Sense, and the strongest divine sense that he had learned in his life except for poison were all gathered together. Whoosh! The sword light shone brightly, tearing the sky apart. The horrifying fluctuation, accompanied by a terrifying explosion, directly drowned the entire broken peak. No way. This is the second powerhouse of the human clan. Countless exclamations erupted from the surrounding cultivators. Most of the cultivators had already guessed that this human cultivator must be a hidden powerhouse. Otherwise, Hu Mainyang, who was furious and clearly stated that she wanted to kill the ninth powerhouse of the elf clan, would definitely not let him go on the stage. However, Du Jing's crazy ruthlessness that drained all his strength in one move, and the terrifying aura that burst out, still shocked everyone. Damn it! Why isn't it me? Coiling Dragon saw Du Jing's appearance, and he was envious and jealous. Obviously, Du Jing had received Qin Hao's permission. Otherwise, with Du Jing's nature, it was impossible for him to be so bold. Boom! 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 The terrifying explosion sounded, and it lasted for half a minute. Du Jing's face was pale, but his eyes were shining with ruthlessness and excitement. He did not even look at the flesh that was destroyed by his own energy, and directly used the remaining energy to fly back to the human clan's camp. Damn it, you really think you're the second powerhouse? Coiling Dragon stared at Du Jing's arrogant appearance and transmitted his voice unhappily. Ahem, Brother Pan, at least now I am. If you don't have the demeanor of a powerhouse, wouldn't you be embarrassing the boss? In the end, it will all be revealed. You're right, but I'm very unhappy. What do you think I should do? Chapter 820. Brother Pan, you already killed the second most powerful warrior of the elf race, and I'm just getting some leftovers. Oh, right, my saint-level soul-devouring silkworm has given birth to a silkworm king. It's the one that mutated after drinking some of your blood. It's very ferocious, and it only broke through after devouring thousands of my soul-devouring silkworms. Fuck. Pan Long cursed but didn't say anything else. Even if he could trample on Du Jing thousands of times, he would still vomit blood because of Du Jing's poisonous worms. Now that a silkworm king was born, how bad would it be? He wouldn't be able to take any advantage at all. Did you see that? That person should be Du Jing. Killing God Qin Hao doesn't have any weaklings under his command. If he uses poison, he will be even stronger. No one knew that Lu Qianye of the God race had already exposed Du Jing's identity to the top 3 elites of the God race at this moment. The one who spoke up to stop that idiot from the elf race must be killing God Qin Hao. Impossible, right? Nothing is impossible. Killing God Qin Hao's concealment technique might not be the best in the same realm, but no one in the primitive mystic realm can compare to him. If he doesn't want anyone to know who he is, no one would be able to tell from his aura. If not for Pan Long, Du Jing, and the others, even I wouldn't be able to guess it was him. Moreover, you should already know about his relationship with Bailey Ningbing. If it wasn't him and Hu Mainyang who spoke up to stop her, who else could it be? Very good. To Lu Qianye's surprise, the number 1 elite of the God race, Nie Fan, wasn't worried at all. Instead, his eyes shone with excitement. Killing God Qin Hao. Let me, Nie Fan, break his legend. Chi chi chi, In the distance, behind the human camp, the energy of heaven and earth fluctuated violently and gathered towards a graceful figure standing in the void. Bailey Ningbing had unexpectedly entered the state of enlightenment, which was something that could only be discovered by chance. The surrounding human cultivators were extremely envious and excited. One thing was for sure, after the enlightenment, Bailey Ningbing's combat strength would definitely increase tremendously. This was undoubtedly a good thing for the human race. Of course, the surrounding cultivators weren't just shocked. Instead, they used their fastest speed to adjust their states and assimilate into Bailey Ningbing's aura of enlightenment, hoping to gain something. No one knew that a strand of Chen Hao's soul consciousness was currently in Bailey Ningbing's mind. However, even though epiphany was good, it did not mean much to top experts who already had their own path. Epiphany was the transformation of one's mental state on the path of enlightenment. This was a Tao that belonged solely to Bailey Ningbing, and only she would benefit the most from it. Cultivators who had yet to find their own Tao would also gain quite a bit. Perhaps some of them would be enlightened and gain some insights, which would help them comprehend the Tao in the future. However, Chen Hao and the others were useless. The competition didn't delay because of Bailey Ningbing. The human race was still in the lead with a 3 o'clock score, and their momentum was unstoppable. With Hu Mainyang's victory, the human race only needed to win one more match to remain undefeated. Plans can't keep up with changes. Since it's come to this, let's have little snow fight. We'll just beat our opponents. Yu Yu, Huan Huan, Lei Lei, and Bailey Ningbing won't have to fight. Chen Hao transmitted to Hu Mainyang. Bailey Ningbing. Eating from the bowl and hogging the pot. When she's about to die, won't she be exposed? Nonsense, do you think I'll just watch her die? I didn't say I'd let her die. Why are you so agitated? If I didn't cooperate with you, do you really think your soul consciousness could pass through the restrictions the 10 of us set up without being detected? Also, keep an eye on the gods. They seem to have discovered something. So what if they've discovered something? This time, the gods are the ones I want to stomp to death. If it wasn't for Lu Qianye, the entire Emperor Jade Marrow district would be ours. All these years, I've been in seclusion, and the gods have been hunting down the members of Proud Heaven. They must be tired of living. Chen Hao frowned slightly after hearing Hu Mainyang's words. Don't be too confident. Nye Fan and Lu Qianye are easy to deal with. The two ranked before Lu Qianye are naturally not to be trifled with. Among the 4 of them, you can at most kill one. I'll reluctantly help you kill one. As for the other 2, I'm afraid no one in Proud Heaven can defeat them. Is that so? Then open your eyes wide and watch. Even if you don't do anything, Proud Heaven, will still destroy them. In the 4th match, it was time for the human race to fight first. Chen Shui directly went up. When they saw, Bai Tian, the elves' morale had dropped to the bottom. By now, they knew that the human race had hidden too deeply. Siege, who was supposed to adjust his strategy, was not in the mood to do so. Kana, who was supposed to deal with Bai Tian, went up the stage. Even though he had given it his all, he was still defeated by Chen Shui's soaring strength. He no longer had the courage to risk his life and the confidence to win. Naturally, he decisively admitted defeat at the critical moment. 4 o'clock. Hu Mainyang had not entered the stage yet, but the human race was already in an invincible position. In the 5th match, Chen Hao took the initiative to enter the stage. Let me. Siege, the leader of the elves, had no choice but to enter the stage. Even if they were going to lose, they could not let the human race win completely. It would be too embarrassing if they were to be shaved bald. Buzz. Siege's rainbow wings flapped, and his entire body seemed to have teleported directly to Broken Peak. The human race has really hidden deeply. However, it's impossible for them to win completely against us elves. Perhaps you've hidden your strength as well. Otherwise, I wouldn't have let you enter the stage at this time. Unfortunately, I'm going up. Siege stared at Chen Hao condescendingly. Although the elves were destined to lose the match, Seich's image as the #1 expert of the elves was still sufficient. Chi. The aura on Chen Hao's body suddenly soared. Huh? You're not going to admit defeat? You want to fight? Seich asked in surprise. In his opinion, as long as it was not Hu Mainyang, he would be able to stop the other party's wishful thinking of winning completely. No matter who it was, when they saw him enter the stage, they would probably admit defeat immediately. Similarly, countless cultivators present had the same thoughts as Seich. Seich's strength as the #1 expert of the elves was unquestionable. He was second only to Hu Mainyang, Chu Feiyang, Morichis, Nia Fan, and other top experts. Other than Hu Mainyang, no one in the human race thought that anyone could fight against him. However, Chen Hao began to gather his aura. Damn it, the ignorant are really fearless. But this feeling of pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger feels really good. Although I'm about to vomit blood, when it's time to explode, just thinking about it makes me excited. I seem to like this feeling. However, isn't it a little too early for Senior to reveal his powerful strength now? Coiling Dragon secretly whispered to Du Jing through voice transmission. It's not early. Boss can't reveal much even if he wants to. Besides, our opponents in the next match are basically those trash from the pro toss. So what if we're all exposed? Otherwise, Boss wouldn't have allowed me to unleash my poison skills without restraint. That makes sense. Brother Pan, I've understood this since I was 3 years old. Fuck. You're all grown up now. Are you serious? As soon as Seich's voice fell, Chen Hao's aura, which was already surging violently, suddenly increased to a level that was not inferior to Seich's at all. This made Seich, who had maintained a high and mighty posture, suddenly change his expression and shut his mouth immediately. Countless cultivators in the surroundings exclaimed in surprise. He's so strong. Even the top experts from the tyrants, the insect race, and the Protoss, who had maintained a detached posture from the beginning, could not remain calm except for Lu Qianye, Nia Fan, and the other top experts. The human race is indeed the most cunning race in the top 10 galaxies. They've hidden their strength so well. We have to reevaluate the combat power of the human race. Even we have to take it seriously. The contestants from the top 3 galaxies all revealed solemn expressions. Miss Hu, you're amazing. This is a little more interesting. Otherwise, it would be a pity for you to fight alone, haha. At this time, Chu Feiyang from the tyrants looked at Hu Mainyang with a smile and said, Brother Chu, you must be joking. Although the human race has hidden some of our strength, there's still a big gap between us and the top 3 galaxies. Mainyang doesn't dare to think too much. Hu Mainyang also smiled, but her eyes were locked on Broken Peak with a trace of nervousness. Of course, this nervousness was for others to see. It could be said that the one who knew Chen Hao's combat power the best now was Hu Mainyang. Although she age, the top expert of the elf race, was second only to her and several top experts from the top 3 galaxies, he was not enough to deal with Chen Hao. Sure enough, after raising his strength to the same level as Seich's, Chen Hao was still able to suppress Seich with a slight advantage. This made Seich's blood boil with shame and anger. As the #1 expert of the elven race, who had previously boasted shamelessly, he was now being suppressed by Chen Hao, an unknown expert. His reputation had been swept to the ground. His shame turned into anger, and in order to defend his dignity as the #1 expert, Seich went berserk and fought Chen Hao with all his might. In such a situation, it would have been difficult for Chen Hao to kill Shi-Age. Even if Chen Hao exposed his full strength, as long as Shi-Age wisely admitted defeat, it would have been difficult for him to kill Shi-Age. However, Chen Hao easily killed the #1 expert of the elf tribe at the cost of heavy injuries. This was completely unexpected. At the same time, it also caused a huge sensation. The leader of the top 10 galaxies was the first to die. It directly caused the elf race to fall into an endless depression. They were not much better off compared to the eliminated galaxy of the Sky Fiend race. We can't complain about losing, ha. The humans have hidden their strength so well, and the elf race is far inferior to us. We've lost completely, ha ha ha. The cultivators of the Sky Fiend race were excited. They had a score of 4-6 against the humans, but the powerful elf race was completely defeated. This undoubtedly gave them a place to find balance. There's no need to go up. We, the elf race, admit defeat. The cultivator with the highest cultivation among the elf race immediately admitted defeat with an embarrassed expression. With Hu Meinyang going up, who would dare to fight her? They did not even dare to go up the stage. Otherwise, it was hard to say if they would even have the chance to admit defeat. The Secular Heart Sutra gave you a casual look, and you would lose your mind. You would be dead meat. It's finally our turn. Chu Feiyang of the Tyrants murmured with excitement in his eyes. Are the Tyrants really the strongest? We, the God race, will defeat you first. Nye Fan, the top expert of the God race, took a deep breath and said. Chapter 821. Ha ha ha, suddenly, the number one expert of the insect race, Morichis, let out a breathtaking laugh and flew into the air. Huh? Chu Feiyang, Nye Fan, Hu Meinyang, and the others frowned slightly. They did not understand what this coquettish woman was up to. The insect race had gotten a bye and gained such a huge advantage. Was she still not satisfied? After all, the Tyrants and the Protoss were the first to fight. Casualties were inevitable. If the real experts died, the insect race would naturally take advantage of them. I have a suggestion that you can consider. Morichis, why, do you want to fight first? The Tyrants don't mind letting you go first. Ha! The Protoss naturally doesn't mind. Ha ha ha. Do I, Morichis, look that stupid? I knew you would think that the insect race would get a bye. Sure enough. If I want to win, I must make you accept it wholeheartedly. I don't care about that little bit of advantage. My suggestion is very simple. The elf race has indicated that they will stop at the 5th place. The human race has hidden their strength very well. Their strength is not much worse than our 3 galaxies. Also, Hu Meinyang, you have hidden your strength, right? Perhaps killing God Chen Hao and the members of Ao Tian have already arrived? Morichis suddenly looked at Hu Meinyang with a devilish smile on her seductive oval face. Whoosh, what? Killing God Chen Hao and the members of Ao Tian have arrived. I see, no wonder the human race has so many hidden experts. Which one is killing God Chen Hao? Morichis' words directly ignited all the cultivators. In an instant, there was an uproar. Countless eyes looked at the 10 experts of the human race and the cultivators standing in front of the human race camp. They wanted to find killing God Chen Hao and the members of Ao Tian. Hu Meinyang did not expect to be called by Morichis at this time. However, her expression did not change at all. She still had a faint smile on her face and said, killing God Chen Hao and the members of Ao Tian may have really come. As she spoke, Hu Meinyang's gaze swept across Chen Hao and the others. She said, unfortunately, even Meinyang doesn't know if it's true. Do you think they are? Then let's take it that they are. What does that mean? Hu Meinyang's ambiguous words made everyone unable to understand what she was up to. However, Chen Hao frowned slightly, but soon felt relieved. No matter what, Hu Meinyang would never allow herself to fall into a passive position, nor would she allow her reputation to be tarnished. Since she had been questioned by Maurice in front of everyone, regardless of whether the other party was probing or had already discovered some clues, Hu Meinyang's answer was undoubtedly the best for herself. Chen Hao and Proud Heaven's members weren't harmed in any way. Instead, they were beating around the bush in an ambiguous manner, neither admitting nor denying it, which made it difficult for the other party to confirm their suspicions. Furthermore, if Chen Hao and all the other members of Proud Heaven were exposed, Hu Meinyang would be able to cut ties with them. At the very least, she wouldn't have to hide anything from anyone. Murderous god Chen Hao's concealment skills are unparalleled under the heavens. I'm sure Proud Heaven's members won't be too bad, right? Ha ha ha. Whether you admit it or not, I can conclude that murderous god Chen Hao and the other members of Proud Heaven have already participated in the battle, and they are among these people. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many hidden experts in the human race. Murderous god Chen Hao, what do you think? I'm looking forward to a battle with you the most. If you can defeat me, I can give you my primordialine body, and we can practice dual cultivation together for a few hundred years. In exchange, if I defeat you, you have to become my man and join the Bug clan. Ha ha ha. I know you can definitely hear me. Therefore, I suggest that we end the battle here today. 3 days later, the tyrants will fight the Protoss, and the Bug clan will fight the humans. Isn't this fair? At least the Bug clan didn't take advantage of you. Maurice from the Bug clan didn't feel that his words were inappropriate at all. However, in the ears of the human race and the cultivators from other races, it was simply too awesome. As the #1 expert of the Bug clan, he actually wanted to dual cultivate with murderous god Chen Hao in front of all the cultivators from the 10 major galaxies in the primitive mystic realm, regardless of the outcome. How shameless must he be to do that? Even Chen Hao was shocked by this demonic and manly woman's straightforwardness. On the other hand, Chen Shui and the other girls were disgusted. They looked at Maurice as if they couldn't wait to kill him with their swords. Even Hu Mainyang frowned slightly. She was a little unhappy. Was it because murderous god Chen Hao was too charming, or was Maurice too shameless? The answer was naturally twofold. There was no clear boundary. Maurice's words clearly told everyone that murderous god Chen Hao's talent was unprecedented. If one could dual cultivate with him, the benefits would definitely be huge. This was where Chen Hao's charm lay. Perhaps only the Bug clan, a race that completely regarded dual cultivation as a path of cultivation and had no moral constraints at all, would dare to say such shameless words in public like Maurice did. Ha ha ha. I'm impressed. I thought only the Protoss could see it. I didn't expect Queen Maurice to be as good as us. What was even more unexpected was that Lu Qianye, the former leader of the Protoss and the current #4 expert, actually laughed loudly. He rose into the air and praised Maurice. You were Chen Shui during the day, right? And you, although I don't know what method you used to conceal the aura of an ancient ferocious beast, you're Coiling Dragon, right? And you're Du Jing, the merciless tyrant, right? Ha ha ha. And all of you, you're one of murderous god Chen Hao's Taoist companions, right? As for murderous god Chen Hao, do you dare say you're not? Lu Qianye pointed and pointed. Every time he reached a person, he would confidently point out the other party's name. Every time he pointed out someone's name, the crowd would go into an uproar. Especially when he pointed out the young man who had just killed the leader of the elf clan, it caused a huge commotion. Murderous god Chen Hao. The human cultivators all felt their blood boiling. They suppressed the excitement in their hearts and stared at Chen Hao and the others. In the crowd, Niu Er, who had met Chen Hao once, was so excited that he trembled. It should be known that Chen Hao had told him that his surname was Chen. Therefore, although Chen Hao and the others still did not admit it, Niu Er was very sure. Other than murderous god Chen Hao, who else had the ability to kill the #1 expert of the elf clan? Hu Mainyang's expression also seemed to be very surprised as she looked at Chen Hao with a hint of anger. In the primitive mystic realm, everyone knew that Hu Mainyang and murderous god Chen Hao had fought to the death for the Tao manifestation immortal fruit. Even when they were breaking through the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing, Hu Mainyang wanted to take advantage of Chen Hao's heavenly punishment to kill him. To put it bluntly, the relationship between Hu Mainyang and Chen Hao was like fire and water in everyone's eyes, even in the eyes of the human race. However, no one was worried that Hu Mainyang would come into conflict with Chen Hao now. After all, when the human race had called for murderous god Chen Hao and the members of Proud Heaven to appear, Hu Mainyang had promised to announce it to the world. Damn it! Seeing Coiling Dragon, Du Jing, and the others looking at him excitedly, Qin Hao felt a headache coming on. Previously, he had concealed his strength for two reasons. First, the three strongest galaxies were indeed very strong. Hiding his strength would give him more confidence. Moreover, he also needed a few battles to temper himself and trigger heavenly punishment. Second, he and the members of Proud Heaven were the most hated and feared existences of the foreign races. If he revealed his identity too early, he would definitely become a thorn in the side of all the foreign races. However, in today's battle, because of Bailey Ningbing's sudden epiphany, Qin Hao had forced Du Jing to reveal all of his strength except for his poison arts. In order to defeat the elves, he had also revealed his powerful strength. At first, he thought that the other party would at most be suspicious. After all, Qin Hao believed that everyone had hidden their strength well. However, he didn't expect Morichis to directly say that he and Proud Heaven had appeared. Even more unexpected was that Lu Qianye, the most hated expert of the divine race, had pointed out Coiling Dragon, Du Jing, and himself. Under the gazes of countless people, Qin Hao knew that it was useless to continue pretending to be ignorant. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Boom. With Qin Hao's permission, Coiling Dragon, Du Jing, and Qin Shui, as well as Qin Hao himself, suddenly erupted with extremely powerful auras and reverted to their true forms. Ha ha ha. I am Coiling Dragon. Lu Qianye, you have good eyesight, you grandson. You can still recognize us like this. Not simple. Coiling Dragon's wild laughter resounded through heaven and earth. His entire body expanded to 3 times its original size, releasing the aura of a ferocious beast. After reverting to his true form, Du Jing's eyes flashed with a soul-stirring cold aura. He stood side by side with Coiling Dragon. Under his ancient ferocious beast aura, he gave off a feeling that he wasn't weak at all. His body flickered with a dark green light, looking exceptionally terrifying. During the day, this fair-skinned young man had transformed into a beautiful woman in a blue dress. She had a graceful and exquisite body and a beautiful face. She was not inferior to the publicly recognized goddess, Hu Meinyang. Moreover, she gave people a feeling that she was more real than Hu Meinyang. This was real beauty, so beautiful that it shook people's souls. Compared to Hu Meinyang, who was worshipped by thousands of people, she gave off a completely different feeling. Each of them had their own merits. The 3 of them could be said to be shocking, but all eyes were focused on the mythical existence of the primitive secret realm, Qin Hao. His handsome and cold face, his pitch-black eyes were as deep as the vast ocean, and his slender figure stood proudly like an unsheathed sword. Regardless of whether it was a man or a woman, they all felt a kind of pressure that came from the soul. Qin Hao, the god of killing, was a nightmarish existence to all the foreign tribes that were once in the 9 seals of immortal sealing. Fleeing at the sight of him was a true portrayal of them in the past. Now, even though Qin Hao had disappeared for 200 years, the actions of the members of the Proud Heavens were all linked to the god of killing, Qin Hao. As a result, his prestige and influence didn't diminish at all. Now, even more cultivators who had never seen Qin Hao, the god of killing, felt a chill down their spines just by looking at Qin Hao's figure. A person's name was like a tree's shadow. This was the kind of pressure that came with the prestige of a king. Chapter 822. It's really you guys. Everyone stared blankly at Qin Hao and the others, but the first to speak was Hu Meinyang, who had a complicated expression on her face. Damn it, can you not be so fake? Qin Hao said telepathically. Mind your own business. I just don't know. Hu Meinyang said telepathically. On the surface, Qin Hao narrowed his eyes at Hu Meinyang and said cooperatively, What? Are you going to go back on your word and settle accounts with me? Since I said that I won't settle accounts with you for the time being, I won't make trouble for you now. In the face of righteousness, the human race should unite as one. You are very welcome to come. But don't you think it's a bit too much to hide it from me? Is there a difference? Isn't the result better now? Qin Hao said, but at the same time, he said telepathically, "Why don't you continue to talk about me? What do you know about my image?" Hu Meinyang said telepathically. "Ha ha ha. What, aren't they? Don't tell me that only the four of you are here." Lu Qianye of the god race glared at Chen Hao and the others and laughed wildly. "Are you an idiot? If you can tell who is who, how can I kill you?" Du Jing said directly. "I'm talking to Chen Hao, the god of killing. Who are you to interrupt? You think you're qualified to talk to our boss? I'm already thinking highly of you by telling you this." Du Jing said disdainfully. The shrewd, sinister, and cunning Du Jing was far more authentic than Coiling Dragon in this kind of situation. It was beneath Chen Hao to talk to Lu Qianye, but it was different for him. "As expected of proud heaven, you're really proud of the world. Very good, you're the only ones who can be called the top geniuses of the 10 galaxies. Otherwise, even if we beat you humans, we won't feel any sense of accomplishment. Chen Hao, the god of killing, you're mine now. I hope you don't avoid this battle." Ha ha ha. Nia Fan, the top elite of the god race, stared at Chen Hao with excitement and anticipation. Nia Fan of the god race had always kept a low profile. Since he had stepped forward before this battle, there was no reason for him to keep a low profile. Since he was able to suppress Lu Qianye and the other three to become the leader of the Protoss, he naturally had absolute confidence in himself. At this moment, there was no falsehood in his words. He really did want to fight with Chen Hao. Although the god of slaughter Chen Hao hadn't appeared for 200 years, and although Hu Meinyang was a dazzling figure, the god of slaughter Chen Hao's influence was the greatest among the human race and even the 10 major galaxies. Anyone who could defeat or kill him would obtain unimaginable fame and fortune. The leader of the human race is Saintess Hu. I can't make the decision on what to do with her. Of course, if Saintess Hu arranges herself to deal with you, I won't mind. Chen Hao said with a smile. She didn't agree, nor did she refuse. Instead, she passed the ball to Hu Meinyang. Ha ha ha. None of you can take it away from me. God of slaughter Chen Hao, what do you think of what I said just now? Morichis of the insectoid race stared at Chen Hao with a burning gaze, as if he was staring at the most delicious prey. I hate insects the most, especially Hydra. Do you really think you're human just because you've cultivated a human form? A reptile is a reptile. You dare to insult me? Oh, so you also think that insects are inferior to humans? Interesting. Chu Feiyang of the Tyrants finally spoke. There was still a faint smile on his face, but the only change was that his eyes were burning. The appearance of the god of slaughter Chen Hao and Ao Tian is really exciting. I think there's no need for nonsense. Let's do as Miss Mauritius said. 3 days later, we'll meet in the 4 major galaxies. I'm looking forward to the battle with Miss Hu, but at the same time, I'm also looking forward to the battle with the god of slaughter Chen Hao. It's really hard to choose. I'll make another suggestion that has nothing to do with the ownership of the Emperor Chalcedony. I don't know if everyone agrees. After the competition, let's have a free challenge. How about it? Ha! That's exactly what I'm thinking. Nia Fan, agree. I'm looking forward to it. Mauritius said without hesitation. Meinyang naturally has no objections, Hu Meinyang said without any change in her expression. Well, since everyone has no objections, it's settled then. That's it for today. 3 days later, the tyrants will fight the Protoss, and the insect race will fight the humans. God of slaughter, Ao Tian, God of slaughter, Ao Tian. The human race army shouted wildly, and their momentum reached an unprecedented peak. Countless cultivators who wanted to see the god of slaughter Chen Hao and the members of Ao Tian up close were almost crazy. The god of slaughter Chen Hao and the members of Ao Tian were really exposed, and the human race cultivators were completely burning with excitement. Even Hu Meinyang, the leader of the human race, was temporarily overshadowed by the god of slaughter Chen Hao and the members of Ao Tian. When Bailey Ningbing's epiphany ended, Hu Mainyang gave an order, and the human race army returned to the human race's encampment. Chen Shui, who had exposed her true identity, gently held Chen Hao's arm in front of everyone's eyes. She was in high spirits and beautiful beyond compare. On the other hand, Chen Hao's expression was calm and extraordinarily handsome. The two of them were peerless, and the human race cultivators, regardless of gender, were envious of them. The god of slaughter Chen Hao was a legend in the primitive mystic realm. And the people who created this legend, other than the god of slaughter Chen Hao's domineering killing of the foreign races, were more important were the members of Ao Tian. There were no weaklings in Ao Tian. Even the weakest, Lan Feng, was a person who could stir up trouble on his own. Not to mention the wild and battle-thirsty coiling dragon and Du Jing. Of course, the most dazzling were the women of Ao Tian who had a clear relationship with Chen Hao. Chen Shui, Long Ting, Helian Wuzi, Tan Tai Lian, Xia Yuyu, the beautiful sisters. Each of them was a genius beauty that made cultivators drool. It was already a great blessing to have one, let alone all of them. It was also because of this that the god of slaughter Chen Hao was even more unfathomable. Bailey Ningbing looked at Chen Hao, who was flying in front of her as if nothing had happened. He didn't even look at her. Her heart trembled slightly after her epiphany ended, and a bitter smile appeared on her face before she regained her composure. The transformation of her state of mind and the transcendence of her epiphany made her no longer confused, and she no longer had extravagant hopes. Chen Hao was able to help her at the crucial moment, and because of her, he exposed himself and Ao Tian. Wasn't that enough? If it was the previous her, she might have once again taken Chen Hao's disregard to heart. But now, she didn't think so. She wasn't willing to lower her head, let alone the god of slaughter Chen Hao. This was undoubtedly the best ending for him. The road is still very, very long, Bailey Ningbing muttered in her heart as she retracted her gaze. The bug race encampment, core area. Morichis gathered all the experts of the Zerg race to prepare carefully for the battle after the three of them. The exposure of the god of slaughter Chen Hao and Ao Tian's members, in addition to the existence of a top expert like Hu Mainyang, caused the human race to rise to the level of the tyrants, the Zerg race, and the Protoss. This made Morichis excited, but she also had to take it seriously. Similarly, the tyrants and the Protoss also specially analyzed the god of slaughter Chen Hao and Ao Tian's members. As for the cultivators of the top 10 alien races, they were even more excited and restless in these 3 days. Just like what Chu Feiyang of the tyrants, Nye Fan of the Protoss, and Morichis of the Zerg race said, without the presence of the god of slaughter Chen Hao and Ao Tian's members, even if they won, there was nothing to be proud of. Now, it could be considered a real battle between galaxies. The appearance of the god of slaughter Chen Hao and Ao Tian's members is definitely not inferior to any of the 3 strongest races, the tyrants, the Protoss, and the Zerg race. The battle in 3 days is really exciting. I really want to see how beautiful the Dao partner of the god of slaughter Chen Hao is. Did you see that Chen Xiaobai today? He's not inferior even to the leader of the human race, Hu Mainyang. None of his women are inferior. In the past 200 years, they have appeared many times, and every time they appear, they cause a sensation. How strong is the god of slaughter Chen Hao? Why are Morichis, Chu Feiyang, and the others more interested in him than Hu Mainyang, the top expert? Morichis even confessed her love in public. Unfortunately, the god of slaughter Chen Hao didn't even bat an eye. How strong a person is, you only need to look at the people around him, especially how outstanding his Dao partner is, and you can almost judge it. Chen Hao has so many beautiful and talented women as his Dao partners, and they get along well with each other. It's definitely unfathomable. There's also Pan Long, Du Jing, and the other top talents of the human race. They can easily become overlords, but they're willing to follow the god of slaughter Chen Hao. It's even more unbelievable. Besides, the god of slaughter Chen Hao's reputation is undoubtedly the strongest in the primitive secret realm. If you can defeat him, you'll gain a lot of luck, not to mention fame. Naturally, it's more exciting than Hu Mainyang. The foreign races who were only qualified to watch the battle gathered in groups of 3 to 5, discussing the god of slaughter Chen Hao and Ao Tian enthusiastically. The commotion caused by their exposure was definitely comprehensive. As for the human race, they were even more excited. Some who had expressed their strong desire to not hide anything and even humiliated Chen Hao and Ao Tian because they didn't come were now being attacked by their friends. The god of slaughter Chen Hao and Ao Tian had come long ago. They were just hiding their true identities because their influence was too great. How could they be cowards? Brother Chen, I want to join Ao Tian. Is it possible? In the human race, in Humainyan's temporary palace, the human race experts gathered. As soon as they sat down according to their strength, Gao Lan stared at Chen Hao with burning eyes and said bluntly, no problem. After all, you're a brother who fought side by side with Ao Tian. Your strength is also not bad. On behalf of Ao Tian, I welcome Brother Gao to join us. Chen Hao stared at Gao Lan and said. Gao Lan, if there weren't any members of Ao Tian, was second only to Hu Mainyang and equal to Bailey Ningbing. Moreover, he was the first human race expert who volunteered to fight when he knew the danger. Such a person, whether it was strength or temperament, wouldn't be bad. Many thanks, Brother Chen. You're still calling him Brother Chen? Du Jing patted Gao Lan's shoulder with a paw and said frankly. Boss. Gao Lan was suddenly suppressed by Chen Hao. He wanted to resist, but when he felt the numbing power of thousands of insects entering his body, his expression changed greatly. He hurriedly bowed to Chen Hao again and said. Chapter 823. Gao Lan had been ranked 4th in the Divine Temple before entering the Primal Secret Realm. He was far from Du Jing's level. Of course, Du Jing was similar to the 4 Mad Dragons. Although he was not in the top 10, he was a headache for the top 10. Du Jing was proficient in poison, while the 4 Mad Dragons were weak individually. But now, the power that one-handed Du Jing displayed with just a slap was not something that Gao Lan could contend against. He was shocked and excited at the same time. Killing God Chen Hao, a member of Proud Heaven. Without a doubt, Du Jing had improved tremendously after following Chen Hao. Boss, this Gao Lan has a strong background. He's the grandson of the Divine Temple's elder Gao Yuankong. He's the number 1 genius of the Gao family, and also one of the top 10 in the Divine Temple. He's a bit of a fool, and used to look down on my poison skills, hee. Du Jing transmitted his voice to Chen Hao. Chen Hao nodded at Gao Lan, not showing any indifference. Proud Heaven had a special meaning to him. Not only was it the famous Proud Heaven here, but it was also the Proud Heaven on the Infinite Planet, and many of his brothers and sisters. After 2 battles, Chen Hao more or less understood Gao Lan's strength and character. Otherwise, he would not have agreed to join Proud Heaven so easily. But joining was one thing, but to become a core member was impossible for now. Hu Mainyang watched quietly, not stopping him. Her expression did not change at all. Brother Chen, do you still recognize me? Just as Hu Mainyang was about to speak, another voice came from behind her. A young girl stepped out from the crowd. It's you. Of course I do. Chen Hao smiled. What, you want to join Proud Heaven too? Ha, it's you, girl. You even stopped senior brother from fighting me. Pan Long could not help but say when he saw the girl. Brother Pan, hello. Brother Chen, can I? My name is Lin Xia, a disciple of the Divine Temple. Although my strength is average, I'm still stronger than most people. Furthermore, I'm confident that I can become even stronger. Lin Xia announced her name, her face filled with excitement and anticipation. Ha, you'd better think this through. Proud Heaven is a thorn in the side of the outsiders. Joining him will be very dangerous. Thank you, boss. I'm not afraid of danger. You won't disgrace Ao Tian's name. Lin Xia said without hesitation after hearing Chen Hao's words. Even the way they addressed him had changed. Miss Hu, let me in. Boss Chen, I'm Nyo Air. Brother Lan Feng, I'm your sworn brother, Nyo Air. At this moment, a shout came from outside the palace. Hu Mainyang finally frowned. It was one thing for one or two people to take the initiative to ask to join Proud Heaven, but now, even the human cultivators who weren't qualified to enter couldn't sit still. Where would she put her face as the leader of the human race? Lan Feng, go and see Nyo Air. Also, if anyone else wants to join Proud Heaven, you can sign them up. Du Jing will be in charge of the final decision. Just bring him to me when the time comes. Yes, boss. Du Jing and Lan Feng, who was hidden in the crowd, answered at the same time. After speaking, the two of them walked out of the palace. Then, with a crash, the human experts who had entered the palace for Qin Hao and Proud Heaven suddenly swarmed out. At least a third of them disappeared in an instant. Some cultivators hesitated for a moment, then quickly followed him out. It was obvious that these were all cultivators who wanted to join Proud Heaven. Holy Maiden Hu, I'm sorry, but we can start now. Hu Mainyang glared at Qin Hao. Is Mainyang going to give you the position of leader of the human race? I wouldn't dare. The position of leader of the human race belongs to none other than Holy Maiden Hu. It's not something I, Qin Hao, can take up. I don't have the charisma. You mean you have the strength? Humph, I'll settle the old score between you and Mainyang after this battle. Alright, God of Slaughter Qin Hao, members of Proud Heaven, you've all seen it. You can leave now. After speaking to Qin Hao, Hu Mainyang glanced at the remaining thousands of human experts and said indifferently. Miss Hu, will always support you. Let's go. Some human cultivators cupped their fists and said, making their stance clear. However, they didn't know that Hu Mainyang had said such words on this occasion to confuse Qin Hao about her real relationship with him. After all, whether it was in the human race or in the other 9 galaxies, she and Qin Hao were mortal enemies. At this time, for the sake of the big picture, she could only suppress it for the time being. A bunch of idiots. If they knew that I even played with her girl, their eyeballs would fall to the ground, right? Qin Hao looked at the die-hard fans who had made their stance clear and said disdainfully in his heart. Qin Hao hadn't expected Proud Heaven to be so popular. However, it was clear that more people supported Hu Mainyang. Moreover, Qin Hao knew that many of the people who wanted to join Proud Heaven were Hu Mainyang's supporters. It was just that Hu Mainyang hadn't established her own faction yet. Otherwise, it would be hard to say how many people would join Proud Heaven. Of course, Qin Hao was just saying that. Hu Mainyang didn't gain the support of many cultivators just because of her appearance. Her freakishly powerful strength was the foundation. We'll fight the insectoids in 3 days. Today, we need to confirm the lineup in advance. You already know the situation with Ning Bing and Gao Lan. The others are all members of Proud Heaven, so you can decide. However, Mainyang has to remind you that insectoid Maurice's is very strong. Even I don't have a 100% chance of winning against him. Moreover, their second, third, and fourth strongest fighters are also very strong. They're definitely among the top. Don't be careless. If you lose this battle in order to preserve your strength, it won't be worth it. In the palace, only the members of Proud Heaven and the participants of the human race were left. In fact, only Bailey Ning Bing and Gao Lan were of any significance. The rest of them were already useless against the elves. However, they couldn't be sent away at this time. You mean to use the strongest lineup? Qin Hao looked at Hu Mainyang and asked. You know Proud Heaven's situation better than I do. It's just that the insectoids didn't have many main forces in the first battle. Our understanding is limited. You decide how to arrange it, Hu Mainyang said. Those who are exposed naturally have to go. Coiling Dragon, Du Jing, Xiao Shui, me, you, Gao Lan. Qin Hao looked at the silent Bailey Ning Bing and said, and Bailey Ning Bing, 7. Big brother, hiss. Chen Ling came to Chen Hao's side and grabbed Chen Hao's hand, saying, Ling wants to go. Ever since she was taught a lesson by Chen Hao, the eccentric and lively Chen Ling had restrained herself a lot. However, today, she couldn't hold back anymore. It had been so long, but Chen Hao hadn't taken the initiative to talk to her. This made her very sad, disappointed, and wronged. Chen Hao stared at Chen Ling and hesitated for a moment before saying, Okay, you're in. You, next. Huan, Lei, you two go. Oh. I'll go. Sister, let me go. I'm the eldest, naturally I'll go. Don't worry, there won't be any danger. It's the same whether you go or I go. Oh, okay. Are you sure there won't be a problem? Hu Meinyang frowned slightly. She had received very clear information. Chen Ling was fine, but among the members of Proud Heaven, Helian Wuzi, Long Ting, and Tan Tai Lien were very strong. The sisters were relatively weaker, but Chen Hao obviously didn't bring out the strongest lineup. Don't doubt the people you use, don't use those you doubt. Since you let me decide. Okay. Just do as you say. If there's a problem, it's none of my business. Hu Meinyang knew that Chen Hao didn't have any good words. She directly interrupted him and said, Maurice's, are you going to go, or should I? She named me and provoked me. Who do you think will go? However, since Chu Feiyang proposed a free challenge, maybe you and I won't have a chance to fight with her. We'll see when the time comes. Big brother, do you hate Ling? Don't think too much. Be good in the future. How can I hate you? But, sometimes the demon in your heart isn't necessarily, I already know, don't say any more. Oh. Big brother, will you look down on Ling? I won't. Okay, we'll think of a way in the future. Don't think about it for now, or I won't be able to take it. Okay. After everyone finished discussing the situation that they should pay attention to when fighting against the Zergs, they stepped out of Hu Meinyang's palace at the same time. Chen Ling was still holding onto Chen Hao's arm. This was a very normal thing for the girls and everyone. Previously, under normal circumstances, even when Li Yang, the cultivation partner, was around, Chen Ling, the little girl, would be closer to Chen Hao. Even Chen Shui and the others wouldn't think much of it. Moreover, Chen Hao did dote on this little sister who was strange and powerful. But at this time, if the girls knew the content of the conversation between the two, they wouldn't be so calm. Hiss. A breeze blew, and Chen Hao appeared in Hu Meinyang's palace again. He sat cross-legged in front of her. What's a demon in your heart? What Hu Meinyang didn't expect was that Chen Hao looked at her very seriously this time and asked. A demon in your heart is an evil thought. It's born from the 7 emotions and 6 desires. If it grows stronger, you will eventually be controlled by it and lose yourself. What's an obsession? An obsession is an existence that is completely opposite to a demon in your heart, but is also similar. To a certain extent, they can be interchangeable. They're both born from the 7 emotions and 6 desires, so there's no difference in essence. It's nothing more than good and evil, light and darkness. What, could it be that the great killing god Chen Hao has developed emotions that can't be distinguished from an obsession or a demon in his heart? Why don't you tell me? Hu Meinyang stared at Chen Hao. Chapter 824. Then I'll have to disappoint you. I was just asking. Chen Hao looked at Hu Meinyang, who seemed to be waiting for a good show. He shrugged his shoulders and said. Is that so? I've been coexisting with the devil fetus for so many years and can maintain a pure heart. I have some understanding of how to subdue the inner demons. Since you don't need it, I won't say anything. Hu Meinyang smiled. What is good and what is evil? Aren't you just asking? Forget it, I'll be the one to explain the Tao to you today. The so-called good and evil are the same as the inner demons and obsessions. The so-called good and evil of ordinary people are nothing more than the winner takes all. Success is good and failure is evil. But on the path of cultivation, good and evil are control and loss of control. If you can control it, it's obsessions. If you lose control, it's evil, it's the inner demons. What is control and loss of control? Obsessions and inner demons are desire. Obsessions exist forever. Even if you can't achieve it in your life, or even if you achieve it, it won't have any negative impact on yourself or the cultivation world. It's control, it's good. Otherwise, it's the inner demons, it's evil. This is a kind of expansion of desire that has no end. As time passes, it becomes stronger and more harmful. Falling into complete loss of control and immersing oneself in desire, it's evil. The path of cultivation isn't bitter. What's bitter is that the cultivator has too many desires. The heart has no inner demons, but because there are too many desires and too many things that can't be let go, the inner demons are born. Desire is like sand in the hand. The tighter you hold, the more you lose. The more you lose when you let go. Should you hold or let go? It has to be just right. If you let go too much, you'll lose the courage to improve. If you let go too much, your obsessions will turn into demons. Just like gains and losses. When you get something, you might be losing it. When you lose it, you might be in possession. Give up the pursuit of enlightenment, give up the small to gain the big, give up the absurd to retain the true, give up the false to obtain the real. Hu Mainyang's initial teasing was completely gone. She was like a goddess, solemn and dignified. She was surrounded by Tao principles and thousands of Taoists resonated. Her ethereal and seductive voice was like the sound of the great Tao. It shone with golden light and entered Chen Hao's eardrums, heart and spleen, and heart lake. On the other hand, Chen Hao slowly closed his eyes. His spiritual altar bloomed and he naturally entered the state of selflessness. Preaching the Tao. Ah! There's actually such a subtle feeling. Hu Mainyang muttered to herself as she stared at Chen Hao, who had been brought into a state of enlightenment by her. You're still denying it? How stubborn. Is it because of me? Ripples appeared in Hu Mei's heart lake. Chen Hao's problem today was his inner demons and obsession. Based on Hu Mainyang's understanding of Chen Hao, it seemed that other than her, Chen Hao's people like Chen Shui would not be able to make him fall into a situation where he could not distinguish between them. Loneliness like the snow will never return, and the spring water of the river begins to overflow. My heart is unsettled. If I get it, it's what I deserve. If I lose it, it's what I should lose. Gains and losses are predestined. Why can't I be calm? Fate comes and goes, gains and losses are predestined. The heart does not increase or decrease, the wind does not move. The mortal world refines the heart, naturally. Don't be stubborn, don't have wild thoughts. Phew. Hu Mainyang stared at Chen Hao's handsome face and heaved a long sigh of relief. She calmed the ripples in her heart and naturally entered the state of selflessness and tranquility. She was so holy and dignified. Senior brother's love is the real big brother. Big brother's love is. It's a pity that big brother has not broken through to the third realm of spirit cultivation. He can't see anything. Is taboo love really as powerful as Master said? What if big brother can't bear it? Ling, you promised senior brother. You can't act recklessly. I believe that big brother can handle it well. Senior brother, I think that no matter if big brother likes or loves me, he will not do anything to let you down. What if it turns into an inner demon and negatively affects big brother? What should we do? It's true that big brother likes you. If it turns into an inner demon, then we'll kill it. If we can't kill it, then we only need to. Li Yang's divine consciousness remained in Chen Ling's mind. If Chen Hao knew about it, what would he think? Obsessions and inner demons. Chen Ling had endured Chen Hao's Red Dust Heart Sutra's 9th level, the 7 emotions and 6 desires illusory realm. Moreover, it had been specifically designed to kill the inner demons of evil for her. Unfortunately, after an entire month, there was no effect at all. This was because after Qinhao's divine sense sealed Qinling, he simply couldn't find the so-called inner demons of evil. This was also why Qinhao was unable to face Qinling's words and fell into a state of confusion. 3 days later, the 10 galaxies advanced towards the core region of the Emperor Jade Marrow at almost the same time. The human race's morale soared to an unprecedented level. Even Hu Meinyang had to admit that killing God Qinhao and Proud Heaven were like the stabilizing force in the hearts of the human race cultivators. She could not compare to them alone. No matter how strong she was, she could not dominate the overall situation in this team battle. However, killing God Qinhao and Proud Heaven's members could. The first battle was between the Tyrants and the Protoss. This battle should have happened 3 days ago. However, the confident Morris did not want to take advantage of the situation, and Lu Qianya of the Protoss had clearly exposed Proud Heaven, so the battle was delayed until today. It was impossible to tell who was stronger and who was weaker. The result would only be clear after a real battle. Both the Tyrants and the Protoss were confident in their teams. They were determined to win this battle and win the most important victory since the start of the competition. They're not simple. There are so many new faces. Could this be their strongest lineup? I told you to be careful. The 3 top galaxies will never reveal their strongest lineup before a real battle. Until now, they've hidden their strength better than us. If we lose today, let's see how you'll be able to show your face. Qinhao and Hu Meinyang secretly communicated with each other when the masters from the Tyrants, the Protoss, and the Bug clan stepped forward. Apart from a few obvious experts from the 3 major races, there were 4 or 5 experts who had concealed their auras and had never appeared before. Obviously, these were the true experts with trump cards in their hands. As for the human race, there was no doubt about Hu Meinyang. Everyone knew her. As for killing God Qinhao and Proud Heaven's members, only Hellion Wuzi and a few other women did not reveal their identities and played a role in confusing the other party. Compared to the situation where countless masters from the 3 top galaxies competed for the right to participate in the competition, it was simply incomparable. Gains and losses, gains and losses. When you gain, you may be losing; when you lose, you may be in possession. Why are you so stubborn, Saintess Hu? Bah! You're using my words against me. Do you have any shame? You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.